Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100% ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there.
And that's why we play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Obi, I wasn't planning on starting here, but you just made a comment to me that hit well, like it hit the right spot. You just said, do you remember what you said to me?
Yeah, I said, kind of wish there was a game this week.
Yeah. I was kind of looking forward to the bye week until that epic beatdown of Missouri. And now I'm like, I need more, inject more of it into my veins.
Yeah, you know, to me it's kind of like, and I've used this analogy before back in, I think 2020, but, and you may not even remember this, but a lot of our listeners do. To me, it's like an 8-track tape, and you're digging the song. I mean, it's great, and you're right, and all of a sudden it has to change track, and so it stops. And you're like, well, God. Now it's going to pick back up, you know, when the track changes, and you're going to get right back into that song. But there's that interruption that you just don't really want right now.
Are you familiar, Callie, with an 8-track?
She has no idea.
You know what an 8-track is? You don't know.
I don't want to be wrong.
So you don't know. It's okay.
If you don't know,
huh?
Tell us what you think it is.
Tell us.
8-track tape.
My mind is going, no. Like a cassette?
You know what a cassette is. Yeah,
No,
this is
before.
the generation before. This is the 1970s, 80s?
70s.
I was around for it. So answer this question.
Yes.
Could you record on an 8-track? No, right? You could only play.
No, you could only play.
God, could you imagine how terrible you guys lived back then?
Yeah, I had my 8-track tape with Rick James blaring. I'd be right in the middle of Super Freak, and then she's Super Freak. Oh, got to stop.
Pardon?
And then we'd wait, and then you'd wait about 20 seconds, and they'll freaking y'all.
Did you ever make a mixtape? A few years later, were you part of the mixtape community?
Yes, I did.
You'd listen to your radio station, record when the song would come on?
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are good days.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with football. It's TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, as I spit on myself, in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I thought Mike Elko was excellent yesterday.
I thought he was excellent because he had a press conference in an open week.
That doesn't happen.
You know, like, it's an open week, so nobody cares anymore.
No, we care.
No, he showed up and said, hey, brought his coordinators and said, hey, all right, let's talk about where the team is right now and what the thoughts are and all those things. He was great.
He was fantastic in that. He allowed Colin, I say allowed, but typically we don't hear from the coordinators very much. Got to talk to Jay Bateman, Colin Klein. It was great to hear them. I want to go to a soundbite, and it's not because I asked it, although I just like the answer he gave about establishing a championship culture. I asked about how do you kind of evaluate where the team is at the bye week, because it's when you try to take a macro look at something, like what are the benchmarks? And he just gave an excellent answer, and it wasn't about the benchmarks. It was more about instilling the culture and the guys now believing what it takes to get there. Here's Mike Elko yesterday.
Year one is such a challenge because you never really know. You know, you're going through so many things for the first time, and so it feels like you're constantly just putting fingers in plugging holes, you know, and so you go out against Notre Dame and you identify problems and you go to work on trying to fix them, and then more problems pop up because that's what happens naturally, and you're just trying to continue to push this thing forward. I think from a big picture standpoint, the thing that I'm most happy with is we're starting to understand what a winning mentality looks like. You know, the effort that it takes, the strain that it takes, the commitment every single day to a task, to focus, to do the things you've got to do to give yourself a chance to be successful on Saturday. Maybe more excited about some of the things that I see behind the scenes that maybe are allowing some of the progress to show a little bit more on the field, and that's exciting. I think our kids are starting to maybe understand a little bit more what the winning edge actually is to get the performance at the level they want it to be a little bit more consistently. And I think as long as we stay in that mindset and we continue to grow every day, to me, what happens is you put all this work in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I know this is coach speak, but and when you do that the right way, then all of a sudden you show up again on Saturday and you're a little bit better than you were last Saturday. And
all right, that's Coach Elko, the winning mentality, and that was on display. I believe when it's 41-7, Missouri has 7 cracks to score a touchdown. They end up kicking a field goal just to feel like they did something well. That defense came out there, even with a huge lead, as close as Missouri was. No, sir, no touchdown for you.
That was impressive.
Winning mentality, OB.
Yeah, it really was. And you could see how excited they were, the defensive players, to deny them a touchdown. And I think they're really disappointed that Missouri didn't try one more time for the touchdown. Hey,
right.
Let's see what you got here. Oh, okay, you're going to kick it. You're going to whoosh your way out of this. All right.
Well, let's think about it, too, though.
They understood the under-over that was obviously on.
Yeah.
Drink some water.
But let's talk about the growth of that, too. Because if you look at a couple of the games, McNeese State scoring late, trying to get some points at the end of that one. And I know a different group was out there. I recognize that. But not be able to stop them. Bowling Green with so many opportunities at the end of the game to make it interesting. And unfortunately, they did give up some points. But, they came away. Those lessons, those games, to me, applied in this Missouri game. Now they got to apply in the rest of these games.
Yeah. Look, I think this team is good about learning its lessons, and I'll tell you why. We talked about this before the show. Look, I'm one of those guys that nothing good comes from a loss, but you can look at it and say, okay, if there is a silver lining, not good, but a silver lining, losing to Notre Dame really underscored where you have to get better, because the 2 areas where they failed there was Connor at quarterback and then the run defense.
Yep.
And Connor played really well against McNeese, which you'd expect to do, and then he comes back and he was brilliant. So whatever issue he was dealing with, he's worked it out. And the run defense came back and has been spectacular. When you hold 4 consecutive opponents to 100 yards or less total, that's spectacular.
That is. By the way, Sutton, we see you on hold. You're going to have to wait till the next segment because OB doesn't have. He'll hold. Well, he might have a meeting.
He always has good questions.
TexAgs Live
He's
presented.
the boss. He doesn't have a meeting.
Yeah, but bosses have to go talk to the foreman
Doesn't Billy Lucci tell us that bosses don't have to be on anybody's time but their own?
See, I'm not going to go there right now.
I just did.
You just did.
Luch?
And Bill will hear it here in about an hour and then come back at us. Anyway, I want to talk about something else because I want to continue down this track, but different parts of it. So you brought up the improvement with Connor. You brought up the improvement with stopping the run. Here's another one. He said this yesterday. 4 straight possessions to open the game. 5 of 6 times they have scored on the opening possession. 10 different players caught a pass. But I want to go back to the 5 of 6 times we have scored on the opening possession. So this morning, because I'm petty, and I know I am. Guys, I know. You don't have to tell me that I know. I have thin skin. I know. I get it. But I went back and I read some of because I get alerts when people comment on some of our YouTube stuff, if I've commented on it. And one of the things I read from other fan bases, and Missouri was one of them, Texas was another one, your offense, this is on Friday, after Pate was with us, okay?
Okay.
You think your offense is going to score? Actually, yes, I do.
This is a Missouri people saying?
It was not A&M fans, whoever,
okay,
right? Yeah, I do think that. I'm sorry that A&M has scored in 5 of 6 games on their opening possession. I'm sorry that the first half have been excellent except one game, right? Well, I guess the Arkansas game was okay. But,
it's all right.
But not even okay. They struggled offensively in the Arkansas game until the fourth.
All's well that ends well.
But 5 of 6 games they have scored on the opening possession. They routinely, as you mentioned, stop the running backs from hitting the numbers that they're used to, and significantly less. Not like 5 yards less, like significantly less.
Yeah, like Nate Noel, I think, had 37 yards. He was averaging. The 2 games before that, he had 199 against Vandy.
Yep.
All of a sudden, that means more than we think it did. And then he had 120 against Boston College, and he comes in against A&M and gets 37.
So that is why, and I know Coach Elko is preaching this to his guys even before. But you look at what happened in college football this past weekend and what you've seen it all season long. You better bring that championship mentality that he's talking about on every play, because right now there is not an easy opponent in the SEC.
None.
Now,
Not even Mississippi State.
Exactly. Mississippi State, for a half in Austin, most of a half, made it interesting. Okay.
It was 7-6 with about less than 2 minutes, I think, in the first half, and then Texas was able to go out, score, and then they dominated the second half.
And if Texas has a championship mentality, they showed it there, and they'll have to continue showing it with bigger opponents. But that's what we're going to need from an A&M team that has struggled the last few years, 12-12 coming into this season. Right? You cannot, overlook any opponent. And by the way, I think I'm like a lot of people. I see the trajectory where we're going, but I'm not fully buying it until they keep doing it, right? And I'm fully buying this is a better program than it was a year ago. Completely bought in.
Yes, without a doubt.
But I do also recognize that Alabama can drop a game to Vanderbilt. That Georgia can lose. Like, anybody can lose. That Kentucky can look like the worst team in college or in the SEC one week, and then surprise the world the next week.
Oh, absolutely. Kentucky lost, 31-6
to South
Carolina, and then the very next week, I think it was the very next week, almost beat Georgia, and might have if Stoops would have tried to.
And then they beat Ole Miss.
And
then Ole Miss goes to South Carolina and embarrasses them.
That's right.
So, look, and Conor O'Gara had that comment yesterday that Billy touched on, I forget the phrasing, but basically if they don't win double-digit seasons, it would be, I don't know if it was disappointing, whatever the word was. That's why I'm not ready to go there, because this schedule, hard, easy, whatever you want to say about it, anybody can beat you.
It's true. And that was always the warning about Texas. You say, hey, you're coming into the SEC, and here's the deal. The day you're not ready to play, 100% is the day you lose. And that applies to Texas A&M. I know we were thinking, there's a lot of us, me included, that have looked as, okay, all right, they get the open week, and then they're going to beat Mississippi State, and then it's LSU.
Right.
And that is absolutely the wrong way to approach it. What am I doing, of all people, thinking, okay, then you're going to beat Mississippi State? As many times as I've gone to Starkville to watch bad Mississippi State teams either beat A&M or almost beat A&M.
You got to go there and do what you did to Missouri. That's got to be the mindset, guys. We're going to score every quarter, every possession. Tyler White hopefully does not get the.
I don't even want to see him play.
But when he plays, he's good.
That's fine. But I don't want to see him play, Tyler. Nothing against you, but I hope you never get off the bench.
Because that means we're getting 7s and 3s.
And 7s and 3s.
7s and 3s. All right, let's. You know where we are? Where are we at currently?
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
That is correct. But what part of the Rollo Insurance?
The Cool Zone. That's the only place I stay.
The Holistic Planning Cool Zone. The NFL recently became the last of the 4 big North American sports leagues to allow private equity firms to acquire ownership stake in teams. For years, professional sports investing was reserved for the ultra-wealthy. Not anymore. If you're interested in learning more about professional sports investing and determine it may be appropriate for you, Holistic Planning is your ticket. Go check out investinprosports.com. That is investinprosports.com. Today. All right, let's go around the room and say hi to the people. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it 979-693-1150. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We go behind the glass and we say hi to our director, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's on your mind this AM?
Well, Mike Elko kept the recruiting train rolling. I know I remember hearing Bronny say or something, they were happy to get the class mostly wrapped up before the season started because they wanted to put all the energy towards obviously coaching games, but they picked up a big offensive line commit yesterday, Nelson McGuire out of Midlothian. So pretty sizable young man, a good addition to the offensive line, and I know we'll get Bronny's opinion and Billy's analysis on him as well. So just good to see that recruiting train keep rolling.
Yeah, Nelson McGuire, the latest one. They're stocking up on that offensive line, OB. Recruiting-wise.
Yeah, I love offensive line play. So I don't care about how many stars you have, because I remember Eric McCoy was maybe even a 2-star, no better than a 3-star. I love offensive line play. And so anytime you get an offensive lineman, I'm interested.
You're all in.
I'm all in.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We return to the 8-track queen, Callie Gardner.
Good morning.
Calita, what's up?
We've gotten a lot of texts saying that you can record on an 8-track tape.
Oh, really? Back then you could?
I
That's
guess
what they
you have
said.
your own tape
I think they
recorder.
someone said it depends on the one you had, but
Like the rich folks had the one you could record on.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. They didn't share that far, but.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. The one I had was blue, and you like pop it like almost like, yeah.
Put that.
Oh, no, mine was a
Is it
pop
more
down.
like a record player almost, or no?
It's like a huge
It's a
cassette.
cassette, okay.
Imagine a cassette that was like the size of.
It's about as a big square.
Okay.
You put it in there and
Rectangle.
Okay. A rectangle.
Rectangle?
a rectangle. Yeah, maybe.
Square is rectangle. I don't know. He played with it more
No,
than I did.
a rectangle's a rectangle. A square's a square.
This is true. And a circle's a circle. And the circle of trust is with you, Callie. Continue.
Thank you. So the Texas A&M and Mississippi State game time was announced yesterday, and it will kick off at 3:15 Central, and it can be streamed on the SEC network. And A&M's Logan Lednecki was named SEC Offensive Player of the Week, and that was her first Offensive Player of the Week honor and her third Conference Weekly accolade. She was outstanding in that game. She had 23 kills and 18 digs, which was her second double of the season. And A&M's goalkeeper, Sydney Fuller, was named SEC Freshman of the Week after her play in the 4-1 victory over Ole Miss, which was her second recognition of the season.
Thank you, Calita. Appreciate that. Let's do this. Let's hit a break. Actually, on time? Are we on? Yeah, we are on time, OB. So you mentioned one of the worst parts about this week, like you wish we were still playing.
Still playing.
So I actually will say one of the worst parts of us not playing is, A, that it brings me a lot of joy when they play. Even in the rough games, there's joy in there. And also, I can't prize picks Aggies this week. I can play prize picks, but I can't like pick Noah Thomas to go over 70, more than 76 yards.
Right.
I can't pick for Connor Wegman this week at least to throw for more than 275 yards.
Or Le'Veon Moss.
Or
who's on
Le'Veon
a
Moss to
roll.
go through. I mean, if they put the number at 200 more than or less than, I might go more than. If they're not blowing teams out, he might do that.
He might.
He might.
He's on a roll.
What you need to do is go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play in $5 lineups. Basically, it's exactly what I phrased right there. You pick 2 to 6 guys, stat projections, and you go more than or less than, and then you can make some money, baby. Like, he makes it rain. Hopefully he doesn't make it rain. Okay, I shouldn't have said it. Here it comes. Here comes the rain. Do you actually have rain this time?
Win some money!
Oh my gosh, there's 20 in there. Holy smokes. I thought there were going to be ones, bro. I thought I knew where you were going later. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play $5 lineups. It's PrizePicks.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
especially considering TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. You knew that, right?
Yes.
And this is the Go Hour.
This is the Go Hour.
Presented by the Warehouse.
CC Creations.
Now, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
We're going to go to the hotline.
All right.
What's the hotline called?
The hotline is the Boss.
Yes, my guy, Boss Firearms Hotline, Aggieland's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. And with that, we go to the hotline, and Sutton's already there for us. Sutton, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, guys. Hope you're doing well.
Hope you're doing well, sir. What's on your mind this AM?
Oh, good. Well, watching the press conference, Elko's press conference, both of you guys have set in, I don't know, hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours of press conferences. And I was just so impressed with Elko's continual press conference, his honesty, his humbleness, and also his focus. And so with both of you guys, who does Mike Elko remind you of someone that you've covered in your past, and why?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to think I think I have my answer.
Well,
and my answer is going to surprise people.
Okay. Well, to me, I've said it before, I see a lot of similarities in just the way he carries himself and the way he communicates with the media and deals with R.C. Slocum.
Yep.
I see a lot of R.C. was a guy that he wouldn't lie to you. Now, he may not tell you. You might have to work to get something out of him, but he wouldn't lie. And I never felt like it was a combative press conference.
Sure.
You know, like Kevin Sumlin's like almost every press conference, like what I'm thinking, what are you mad at?
Right.
You know, it was RC always understood you had a job to do, and he was cooperative. I'm not asking you to be my best friend as a coach. In fact, that's something neither side should want.
Right.
But I'm just asking for be professionally courteous and cooperative. RC was that way, and that's the way I feel like Mike Elko is.
So I didn't get to cover RC. I've spoken to him hundreds of times like you, but I didn't cover him. But I get a RC sense from a personality-wise, and I'm going to throw one out that most people won't see.
Okay.
Kevin McHale, who was the head coach of the Rockets. I'm going to tell you why. Kevin was kind of intense, and then he could joke around with you at the same time. And I see a little bit of that with Coach Elko, where he'll poke fun at the media, but also tell you he's just kidding.
Right.
And he's also intense. There's a little Belichickian vibe at times, not mean, but I'm saying like he's about the work, he's about the business, but he can also, seems like he'll put his arm around you, one of his players, and he's got their back. And I see a lot of RC in that. But the fun side, I didn't see the fun side as a coach with RC. I just didn't cover him.
Yeah. You know, some of and times are different now with the way coaches interact with media, and I get it. But some of the more enjoyable parts of his press conference was when it was over and the TV lights were off, and he had guys that he trusted, as most of us, that look, I can say some things and be real with you without you putting it out there, you know, understanding that. And RC was the type of guy that would he would rag on maybe some of the media that's not covering him from like maybe other places, could be Austin, could be,
right.
And just, you know, talk with you just as a regular guy. And we haven't had that with Elko, and I'm sure Elko's never going to be ragging on somebody over in Austin or whatever. But I think he can get down to you and just, you know, talk to you just like a regular guy.
Let's do the performance of the week, shall we? And I think these are super simple. And you could put Coach Elko on there. You could put Coach Klein on there, right? You could Coach Bateman on there. There's a lot of different ways we can go, but let's go Captain Obvious here with the first one.
Yeah, you got to go Connor Wigman.
Got to go.
You? I mean,
especially considering where people thought he was.
Well, they thought he was going to be on the bench.
Right.
Right. And to get that start and to come out, and then he startled Missouri. So he came out, what was it, 18 of 22?
Yep.
Outstanding day, 276 yards. I think 82% completion percentage. I think I heard somebody say, and I don't know this, but that he had like, if not the highest, one of the highest quarterback ratings of the weekend.
I'm pretty sure I heard that exact same comment.
So, but he was brilliant. He was spectacular. He was he was the Connor Wigman we expected to see all offseason.
Shall we go a little bit more obvious on the offense? If there was another guy on the offense that's, it's a 99-yard drive or a 35-yard drive, it doesn't matter.
You know, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd give the ball every time I could to
Moss.
Moss. Moss is the boss. This should be the
Moss
firearms.
Yeah, Moss firearms, and it could be more Moss.
Moss. That's what we need, Moss.
Yeah, he was phenomenal again, and it feels like OB. He is.
Time.
Pardon?
I said Nazareth, so never mind.
It feels
a foreigner, actually.
It feels to me that he is, if not the best running back in the SEC, he's on his way to being the best running back right now. Statistically, he is. I want to see it all 12 games, but I've been seeing it. Every time he does something better each game.
At least 70 yards in every game, and that was Notre Dame. Since then, I think it's 84 yards or more, and when he had 84, it was against McNeese, and that's only because they said no Moss.
Yeah.
So they're like Roberto Duran, no Moss.
Hands of stone.
But I would say, but just like Roberto Duran, Le'Veon Moss packs a punch.
I like that, OB.
137 yards. So yes, Le'Veon Moss.
You know, he just balls.
He's just balling. He's just out there balling.
He's just out there balling. Let's do a defensive player that gets to the quarterback almost any time he wants.
You know, Nick freaking Scorton.
Does he have a nickname?
I don't think he does.
You just say Nick.
Nick.
Back in the day, there was one Nick in the NBA, Nick Van Exel. He's the better Nick. There's Nick Nolte and there's Nick Scorton.
Maybe that's it, the better Nick. There was
the
Nick
best
Saban.
Nick. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
but
good.
He's the new Nick. The new Nick.
Name. Sorry.
He doesn't need a nickname. His name
is
Gordon.
Nick.
He doesn't need a nickname. He's at name Nick.
He is exactly
who we thought.
Well, yes. He is who we thought he was.
He's like the Bears.
The
Bears are who we thought we were. Nick Scorton is who we thought he was. But he didn't let him off the hook.
Do you know where that's from?
She has no idea.
Savage. Do you know where that's from? You don't know, do you? Explain where
Dennis
it's from.
Green.
Do you know who Dennis Green is? I don't expect you to know that.
He was the coach of the Cardinals. They had a big lead on the Bears, and then they blew it. And someone asked him in the press conference about the Bears. He says, the Bears are who we thought we were. And we let him off the hook. But I'm saying Nick Scorton is who we thought he was.
And he's not going to let anybody off the hook.
hook.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. And look, can we give Tyler White some love for one of the best punts we have seen?
I don't know if I've ever seen a better punt.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
in fact, it was asked at the press conference, like, hey, I think she spoke for everybody. I think it's one of the best punts we've ever seen in person, and that she's right.
You know, the guy from Arkansas had one like that last week, right? But his one rolled out at the 1. Tyler's rolled out inside the 1, so he even bettered that.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing Tyler's got to do is actually run for a first down.
I hope we don't have to.
I don't ever saw. Let Moss run for the first down. But Tyler White is having a brilliant year, and I hope he never plays again.
And by the way, I hate that I have to do this, but I have to do this. Moss does not mean I don't want Moss Amari. Amari Daniels
Amari's playing.
He's playing fantastic.
He is excelling in his role. I mean, that 25. I thought he had the touchdown on that opening drive.
I did too.
When he just burst it. He has a really quick burst through the line into the secondary.
I'm going to say the name Brad and Brandon Doan, and you think?
I think barbecue.
You think Pitmasters? Masters
Brad
of Pitt?
and Brandon, they're the BB in barbecue.
That's where it came from.
They're the BB and BBQ.
Belinda, the master of sides and desserts.
She is a master.
Glenda helps things out at the window in a timely manner. I'm just looking at some of these notes. We know this because we go.
I was there Friday.
And we haven't even talked about the quality of the food yet.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I highly recommend. I even took a picture of the ribs that I had on Friday, and I posted on social media saying, I highly recommend these pork ribs. And people are saying, where'd you get those? And, yada, yada, yada. I'm like,
there's one place. It's called 1775.
1775.
Named after our great military.
Our great military. That's what they ought to send. If that's what they were serving in the military, if they were serving 1775, I'd join.
Okay. I can make a call.
I would enlist.
I just want that to marinate for a moment.
Like those ribs.
Oh, they are marinated. 1775, open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out, and they get sold out like that. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. One more.
Like that.
Okay. 8203 Raymond Stosser Parkway in College Station.
Yeah.
Thank you. 979-492-6241.
Don't let them off the hook.
1775txbbq.com.
Love it.
All right, we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm David Nuño. We're going to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center for a moment where Callie Gardner has got a text for us.
Yeah, we had quite a few people back to back text in a nickname for Nick Scorton, and they said Saint Nick because he makes every Saturday feel like Christmas.
Sack Nick, because he comes bearing gifts to the Aggies who, I don't know, just Sack Nick.
Sack Nick.
Sack Nick.
Let's find out where Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk, and of course Aggie Hall of Famer from here on the program on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Charean, good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
We're pretty
very well.
Honestly, I'm doing fantastic.
Well, that's good. I am as well.
Yeah, Charean, I'm coming off like one of the best football weekends of my life.
Yeah, I guess you are. Your Cowboys pulled it out. If you stayed up for it, that ended way late. The Aggies won, and yeah, it was a pretty good weekend for Cowboys fans, Texas fans, and Aggies fans.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Live. Charean, let's talk about this Aggie victory because I thought they'd win. I thought it would be between like 6 and 10 points, 7 and 10 points, but I thought they would win. I did not expect that shellacking, that 31-point beatdown. Just your thoughts on how they went about their business and what they maybe proved to the college football community.
Oh, I knew they were going to win that big. It was a given. No, I am kidding. I had no idea, just like everybody else had no idea that was going to come. I don't think the Aggies had an idea that was going to come. I think we see now that Missouri was probably rated a little higher than they should have been. They got some huge question marks, and I think we saw that Texas A&M's in the conversation. And the one thing I said that has come true is this is a team that's going to get better and better and better every week. So this isn't the best we've seen of this A&M team. I think it's going to continue to get better, and I think the Texas game will be the best game that we play in the regular season this year. And the bowl game will be the best game we play all year because I do think this team is going to continually improve. It's just the Mike Elko way. And, it's unfortunate we played Notre Dame in week 1, as it turns out, because I think we would destroy Notre Dame if we played again now. And with Connor Wegman healthy, it's obvious. That, to me, was the biggest thing. You see the difference between him when he's healthy, and it was obvious those first 2 games he was not healthy, and why he was playing is a totally different question if he wasn't healthy, but he wasn't, because he doesn't make those 3 throws at the end of the Notre Dame game if he's healthy. I just think we saw Connor Wegman at his best, and he's going to continue to get better. I think it was exciting that, you saw so many guys step up and play better. It wasn't just Wegman. I mean, look at what Moss has done week by week by week. Look at what Bussey has done week by week by week. That was the biggest play of the game in my mind. Also, the flag that was picked up at the beginning for pass interference that non-Aggies tell me was. I haven't gone back and watched it. But the biggest play of the game was Bussey being the DB and breaking up the interception there early in that game as well. But you keep going down the list of all the guys who have improved as the year, Rakes has improved week by week. I mean, whoever you want to mention has just improved week by week by week and gotten better, that offensive line. So it's been really exciting to watch, and I think you see that we do have receivers. That was a concern. They fought for the ball. They made some contested catches. So all around, I mean, the only thing that I'm disappointed in and continue to be disappointed in is special teams. Every week there is one play that just drives me ballistic. At some point, we're going to have a great special teams here, and I'm going to be so excited because that is just my number one pet peeve is every week there's a special teams miscue that just drives me through the roof.
Okay. And yet they're still much better than they were last year because the guy, and I'm sure the play you're talking about was the long kickoff return.
Yes, correct.
And at least it was just a long kickoff return and it didn't go for a touchdown.
Right.
But by the way, Charean, how fast is Javon Thomas?
He's fast.
To run that guy down.
He caught him, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, very fast. But you solve that by kicking the ball through the end zone. I mean, it's not that difficult. You give up a fake punt the week before. You miss 2 field goals in one game. I mean, it's just they're better than they were last year. The punting is way better than it was last year. There's no question about that. but you got to clean up those types of errors that you make, that you kick the ball through the end zone. So, and I think that, they've cleaned up the penalties too. So I'm not going ballistic about some of the pre-snap stuff because we're not seeing it as much as what we were. So, but yeah, just that I'm nitpicking, but it is one special teams play every week that just drives me nuts. So if we go a clean special teams game, I'm going to be really, really happy.
Charean, we just did the performance of the week a moment ago, and one name we didn't do that I think we should have done is Will Lee. The blanket, without buying the blanket or sneaking into rooms, is really proving what a great addition to Coach Elko's portal acquisitions this year. Just talk a little bit about what you've seen from Will Lee as he gets better, as the lights get brighter.
Yeah, I think he's going to go down as one of the great DBs. This used to be DBU, and with Aaron Glenn and some of the other guys that we all know who played, going back to Lester Hayes, of course. But, you just had some great Dennis Allen. You've had some great DBs play here, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that we look back and say that was truly a special season that Will Lee had. I mean, he is that good at what he does and special. And if you could just take away a side of the field, it was like Deion Sanders. If you could just take away the other team's leading receiver, and I know he wasn't traveling on Saturday, but, he took away a side of the field and just thought he played outstanding. I think he's played outstanding all year long.
He was the guy that was involved on the long pass early that people are saying, oh, that was a pass interference. And I get that, the argument there, but I personally thought that he got hosed out of an interception on another one. I thought he had an interception, and they called pass interference on that, and I've watched it, and I don't see any pass interference on that. I don't know if you remember the play I'm talking about.
I said at the time that was a makeup call. I said, there's your makeup call right there, because it should have been A&M's ball on that interception, no question about it.
Charean, so I just came across this, and I haven't had a chance to really digest the information, but Ross Dellinger is tweeting out a group of investors and an ex-Disney executive have met with ADs at 30 power schools with the pitch of $9 billion infusion as a part of a 70-school football league looming over SEC Big Ten meetings. This is called Project Rudy, and the quote here on the tweet says, the claim is everybody will be saved. Look, I don't know if this is going to happen, but these are the kind of discussions we should be having.
Yeah, I read it right before I came on, and it is interesting. It's an interesting proposal. It's a very long story. What scares me a little bit is they're going to have tiers of money. So there's going to be a top tier of teams with money that's going to double what they're getting right now in revenue. I think there's 16 teams, and then it goes down to a next tier, which is about what they're getting right now. So it could turn into the haves and have-not. Now, it says you could move up or down in the tiers, and it's going to be based on record. And so to me, that's a little bit of a scary thing from A&M's standpoint, because probably not going to be in that top tier of teams, so you're not going to double your revenue. So that was my one fear about this thing. But who knows when it goes into, when they're proposing that it's going to happen. And it's obviously not going to be next year, so it would take some time. But that was the one thing that kind of concerned me with that. But it is an interesting proposal. And we do know that something needs to be done to save college athletics. I think the Olympic sports probably are going to go away at the current rate that what is happening right now. So that, to me, is extremely scary. I don't want Olympic sports to go away.
I haven't seen the story. That's the first I've heard of it. But I would imagine that it's going to be hard to make any kind of deal with if there's a proposal that says some teams get more money than others.
Greg Sankey ain't going for that. He's going to want his teams to get what they get.
Right. Because 16 teams will probably say, yeah, that's a great idea. But they're still going to be outvoted because there's more than 32 teams.
Well, but my thing, Charean, like I started it with, is we need to start having discussions on how to fix it, as opposed to discussions about discussions later, right? They needs to be happening now. There needs to be multiple groups talking, and at least this is a step into creative thinking.
Yeah. Well, and the SEC and Big Ten are meeting to talk about that, and there they are meeting to start discussions on what they're going to do, because it's obvious that changes are needed and changes are going to happen, or the future of college sports is in question beyond football. So we all want baseball to stay. We all want basketball to stay. We all want track to stay. We all want soccer and volleyball and every other sport to stay. And, I mean, I love rooting for those sports as much as I love rooting for football, and I live and die with those sports as much as I do with football. But those sports are in danger. Let's make no mistake about that. Those sports are in danger right now. Probably not basketball and probably not baseball, but they are in danger. So, something has to be done to save college athletics. And so this is a good start. It's a proposal, and there will be tweaks to it if it happens. But I'm glad they're talking, and I'm glad there's people thinking about this and thinking about the long-term consequences of what we're going through in college athletics right now.
Charean, we've got, a couple minutes left. Let's get into Aggies in the NFL, and if maybe a thought or two on the Texans and the Cowboys over the weekend.
Well, there's so many Aggies in the NFL to talk about, even without Myles Garrett doing anything and Von Miller being suspended. And, there's a ton. And I do want to give a shout-out to Michael Clemens, who had 2 tackles and a sack. I want to give a shout-out to Christian Kirk, who had 4 catches for 88 yards, and Jalen Jones, who's playing like an all-pro cornerback right now, 6 tackles, a forced fumble, and 2 passes defense. Christian Kirk got him on one play, and I said it was Aggie on Aggie crime. And Matabike had a good game. He had a penalty that was big, but he had 4 tackles and a sack in the Ravens' big win over the Bengals' comeback victory. But let's go number 3. We're going to go with Tyrell Dodson. He had 2 quarterback hits, 9 tackles, a sack. He's just having an outstanding year. He's a perfect fit in that Seattle defense. Is playing really, really well. 2, Edrin Cooper. Speaking of improving week by week by week, 5 tackles, a sack, 2 quarterback hits. Packers were raving about his performance after Sunday. And then 1, everybody should know who this is, Mike Evans. 5 catches, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns on Thursday night. Had his 100th career touchdown. He has 99 receiving touchdowns. He recovered a fumble in the end zone. That was the 100th. So his next touchdown catch will be his 100th of his career. So I imagine we will have him on the list next week, because I imagine that he will catch his 100th touchdown catch against the Saints this week. The Bucs are evacuating this morning from Tampa. They're going to New Orleans to train with the hurricane bearing down on Florida. Prayers and to all the Floridians. I started my career there in Tampa. And Cowboys and Texans had a great weekend. Great comeback for the Cowboys. They should have blown out the Steelers. They didn't, but I think this win, the way they won long-term, will help them. The Texans have got to stop the stupid stuff. I mean, they're just playing like a dumb football team right now. They've got to fix all the mistakes that they're making that are trying to get games away, and they're good enough they can overcome that. But at some point, you're going to play the Chiefs, and you're not going to be able to overcome that against a team like the Chiefs. So they got to straighten that stuff out to get where they want to go. But they're a really good football team. Let's just clean up the penalties and the turnovers and the dumb stuff that you're doing, especially in the offensive line.
Great stuff, Charean. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Charean Williams here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll head a break. Ground Shuttle Time, Brazos Valley's premier transportation provider. They're known for their reliable and frequent rides to George Bush Intercontinental Airport. They also offer private car service and charter service for game day or any day. You can book their vehicle and their fleet to accommodate your group size, from luxury to sedans to full size. But the bottom line is, if you're trying to get to George Bush Airport and you don't want to go through the traffic and worry about parking and having to park far away and getting a ride and that whole stuff and spend the money, let Ground Shuttle do the driving for you. They can get you there. They have so many different times to go. It is groundshuttle.com. Again, that website is groundshuttle.com. Let them do the driving. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. FBS Appliance Team, their team of experts are here to help you with the appliances that make your house a home. They carry all the top brands to make your life easier with appliances to fit any budget. They've been taking care of Texas since 1988. They have your trusted brands like Bosch with expert staff and trained installers to guide you through the purchase, because FBS Appliance is your trusted appliance store. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. Obi, I wanted to read you a couple of the points of that Ross Dellinger article just so you can kind of hear it.
Okay.
Project Rudy is built on 2 somewhat simple concepts to increase revenue from television networks: arrange more games between power conference programs by eliminating all games against Group of 5 and FCS opponents, expanding the playoffs, and pitting blue blood powers more often against each other. That's one. And then the second one is consolidate media rights of the 70 schools under one agreement instead of the current structure of 5 different packages.
I like that. And I'll never be against more good games. I think the SEC should have 10 conference games. But I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Well,
but I don't have a problem with playing, I've said this before, one FCS opponent a year.
I think you need to have some kind of preseason
They
game.
need it. I would play somebody in the A&M system, like Kingsville or somebody like that.
Carlton, yeah.
To open the season and help them out as well.
All right, good stuff, Obi. Thank you, sir.
All right.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jamie McCoy will join us. After Jamie McCoy, the other Jamie, Jamie Morrison. We'll talk a little volleyball with him, the KBTX Roundtable. That is straight up at the during the 9 o'clock hour. It is TexAgs Live. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're joined by Jamie McCoy. Jamie, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing great on this fine Tuesday. Got an Aggie win, won in all of my fantasy leagues, so everything's going well this week.
Yeah, man. It's amazing how a good football game, like a really good football game, can make everything at home better, right? Like, I'm not complaining about like the dust and the dog hair and the bed's not made. Like I'm kind of a little more chill this week, man.
Oh yeah. Speaking of dog hair, shoot, we got a lab that sheds everywhere. My
Yes.
wife might be watching now, but shoot, I'll roll over in that thing. I don't even care this week. With a week off, it's like, you can't tell me nothing right now. A little Kanye West song. I'm feeling good. All good vibes for sure.
I hope we hear that song on the way back. That's a great song. Hey, so let's talk about what we saw on Saturday and maybe what it matched. Give me your thoughts, Jamie. When you're coming in, you're optimistic, Jamie, right? You're coming into the season and you see this vision of what A&M can be. Top 10 showdown with maybe a team that didn't deserve to be there, but they were there. They had won 15 of 17 games. And A&M beat them down. Did it match what you thought A&M could be at this high level?
It absolutely matched what I thought they could be. And I've heard a lot of talk about Missouri and being front runners and overrated and whatnot. I think you push all that to the side just because the ratings actually do matter. I mean, Bama and Georgia lost, and both of them are still right there in the top 10 because they were rated so high. So push all that aside. I don't want to hear that. We beat a top 10 team. And honestly, I'm not going to let nobody take that from us because we went out there and did what we were supposed to do. Now, had we gone out there and played like that against Notre Dame, I think we would very well be sitting here looking at a top 5 A&M team. But we didn't. We let one go early. But as far as what I envisioned for this team, that it all came to fruition this past weekend, whether it was the defense doing what it needed to do, the offense doing what it needed to do, special teams, punter, kicker, everything seemed to be going. The only thing that I'm waiting for us to click on is our punt return game. Bussy, I know he's starting to get involved on offense, but we don't really have a return, so to speak, set up to allow him to get to a sideline or anything like that. It's like there's always 2 or 3 guys in his face. He'll make a catch, and he might make a guy miss or two, but he hadn't gotten over 10 yards. And, going back to our old days, Anais would occasionally take one every year, at least one. So I like to see us improve in that area. But other than that, I've got nothing bad to say about the performance that we saw this weekend.
Jamie, let's think about it from this perspective, too. I liked Jimbo. I thought Jimbo was eventually going to figure it out. It seemed like he was going to, and then obviously it became apparent he wasn't going to. One of the things, though, I remember about a Jimbo Fisher A&M team was we didn't get blowouts. Now, and that was a good and a bad thing, right? Like teams that were supposed to be much better than A&M when the season was falling apart, A&M had a chance in those fourth quarters. But every game felt like this grind and like, I don't know, man, it was nice to have a blowout against a team of substance. Like, yeah, obviously that's Captain Obvious, David. Yeah, we like that. But considering we didn't see it against really good teams, like that to me, that was a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just goes to Mike Elko's blue collar mantra. Now, what I love is that, say, when we're playing an inferior team, it just feels like with this regime, we're going to go out there and handle business. And we did that against McNeese State. Now, not so much against Bowling Green, but I think that's because Bowling Green is a hell of a team, and they put us in situations where you got to put up or shut up. And luckily, we were able to put up. But us going against inferior teams and doing what we're supposed to, we've done that under Elko. And then to your point, coming back out and playing a top opponent and dominating and putting your foot on their neck, we go out there and do that. And again, I think it all goes back to Mike Elko and his blue-collar thought process and wanting to have a tough team that's built on something. The foundation is fight. And you see that every time they're out there, whether it's a good team, a bad team, whoever it is, it seems like A&M is just projecting up. And it's one of those things, as an Aggie, you love to see it just because as you said, we haven't done this in a while, and it's refreshing to go out there and see us. Teams keep on trying to do these fakes on us, go for it on fourth down. Y'all keep on. It's refreshing to see us finally in the driver's seat.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's talk Connor Wigman for a moment, because a lot of people had moved on from him. I will be very honest, I did not. I wanted to see him this year. And that's not a shot at Marcel. I kind of still think Marcel's going to play a role in this season some way, some shape or form. There may be a game that they're going to need him to come in. There may be a situation. But Connor's ability to throw the ball down the field, to me, was so – it was not the Notre Dame Connor. It was the Connor we saw in years past.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love seeing what he came out there and did. To your point, I hadn't given up on him either. I thought that we would, just because Marcel had been winning, I thought that we would still stick with Marcel. We get to the bye, and then I thought Mississippi State would be a great opponent for Connor to come back against. But I never counted him out. And the fact that when he got out there and performed the way that he performed, I know it was a weight off of his shoulders, and a weight off of a lot of the haters of the Aggie shoulders too, because guys have just been counting him out. And I know me and Steven have talked about it. I saw Steven at one of the games earlier. I think it was Notre Dame game earlier this year. We talked about how good we thought he was, and just hadn't had his moment yet. And I think this game was a excellent opportunity for when everyone was counting him out, expecting Marcel. We go into our bag of tricks. We bring Connor out, and he comes out here and delivers an amazing game. I think, 4 incompletions? One of them almost got picked, which was great by Bussy. But I think he did a great job. I think, and to your point, having Marcel as a backup is not a bad thing. He's still young. He's still got to learn. If we're in a situation where Connor's hurting, we got to go with Marcel, then hey, we got to deal with what we got to deal with. We'll deal with his growing pains. Granted, he hadn't thrown an interception, but that's when you deal with, oh, man, he's still young. He's learning. This is good for him to learn right now. But the fact that we still have him in our back pocket, I was watching Chiefs and Saints last night. Gosh, Derek Carr goes down. For us, we're like, okay, we're good. Marcel, come on, finish the job. Where a lot of these teams, somebody, your starting quarterback goes down, they don't have somebody of that caliber that can still step in and be a 1A or 1B. So it's just icing on the cake for us right now. And I know that there will be packages. I know that Klein still wants to use that running quarterback. I know he still has some plays up his sleeve. So we're just adding to our tool bag right now. And like I said, you gotta love it.
Talking to Jamie McCoy on the Boss Firearms Hotline, it's one thing that I really liked was the tempo, right? The play calling. Like for a while, we're like, man, I don't know what is Colin Klein doing with his offense? There's that voice again, guys. And the tempo was good. The passing game was good. The receivers had separation, Jamie. It's amazing how when things are going, like your offensive line is clicking, your quarterback is in rhythm, the running game is going, how the receivers get open.
Oh, yeah. It was just synergy at its finest. When everything is ebbing and flowing like that, it's almost you can do no wrong. And the thing that I love about it is we are going to run, like I said, I'm going back to this blue collarness. We are going to run the football. If you're playing the Aggies, you've got to know, hey, these guys are going to try to run the football. So it becomes a matter with Connor. The thing I love so much is it becomes a matter of pick your poison. Are we going to load up and try to stop the run and make the Aggies one-dimensional? Which if you do that and Connor's playing like he's playing this past weekend, good luck. Because like you said, receivers were getting open. But I love that we went to pass the ball, get you on your heels, and then now we're coming running down your throat. Amari did a great job. EJ did a great job. Le'Veon, can't say enough good things about him. I think that's what it boils down to this year is a matter of pick your poison. Now, the next tough one I think we got is LSU, where we're going to see what they do. What do they try to take away? But like I said, either way, I think passing to open up the run, running to open up the pass is how do you want it? And hopefully the guys are all on one accord for the rest of this season. But I love our chances against anybody right now.
The level that Nick Scorton's playing at, I say that sentence and then you take it from there.
I don't want to say legendary because I've seen some greats like Vaughn come through there. Michael didn't play at that level in college, but you absolutely saw what he could be, and you got Myles Garrett. But it's noteworthy and it's up there. I'll say that for sure. The thing that I'm impressed with most is I know that he was a sack guy, but I love the tackles for loss. And for me, all that goes to is effort, beating my guy, and then having the wherewithal to still make the play, make the tackle when you know that the opposing offense is targeting you. I'm sure that in the game or in their practices leading up to the game, they got a guy over here saying, okay, I'm wearing the number 11 jersey, I'm scoring. But the fact that he can still get off of blocks and make big plays, make big sacks, allow it to free up the two Shamars, Regis. I mean, these guys they're looking incredible. And I know that we still haven't even got as exotic as we can with our blitz game. I hadn't seen Elko moving the safeties and coming like he normally does, but I'm good with it. Keep that for the back half of this season. But no, Scorton he's setting up everybody else while at the same time still getting his own. And to do that, one, it's needed, but two, it's taking the load off of everybody. It's making Torian York's job easier. It's making Scooby's job easier. It's making the DB's job easier. Everybody just be in your right position. And offensively and defensively right now, we are clicking. And like I said, it's getting better every week. It's like we're just getting stronger. Incredible Hulk-like. We're just getting better every week, and I love it.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. The defense overall, though, it seems to me, and it's actually the identity of the team that Coach Elko wanted was that line of scrimmage type of team that was going to own the line of scrimmage. We're seeing it with the offensive line. We're seeing it with the defensive line. And I don't want to jump ahead of myself here, but if they play that brand of football, they're going to have that special season we've been talking about.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I think we get through Mississippi State. LSU will be a tough test, and then potential trap game will be South Carolina. But if we come out there and play and stay focused the way that I know we can and the way that I know that Elko's going to lead the boys to, I think we get to that next bye, get everybody just lick our wounds, get everybody somewhat as healthy as can be, and then we go on this final push. Take out to, we saw them things off at the end of the year after Thanksgiving. And then hopefully, if things are going the way that they have been, we could end up with one of those buys that first week. But even if we don't and we end up having to go play somebody at home or whatever the case may be, I think that we are a nightmare for anybody. I think that you do not want to line up against us. I think getting into a playoff scenario, we would be the last one that a team would want to draw. And the thing I love most about it is starting off this year, I got a Monday lunch group. It's like 4 or 5 Baylor Bears, 2 Longhorns, and I'm the only Aggie. And we just been a running joke for the last however many years. Oh, y'all gonna go 8-4, which that's always been the thing. But this year, this past Monday, the joke stopped. They were talking about Baylor. They were talking about Texas finally having to play somebody. And it's like, when I see that, I know that the country is on notice. And now everybody's preaching, oh, look out for the Aggies. They could be a playoff team. It's like, no, the only people that believe that were Aggies. And I'm glad that everybody's getting on board now. And I hope that we can finish the job and do what we need to do the rest of the season.
Jamie, here's the thing, though. As good as I think we are and as good as I think the trajectory is, there is no breathing room in this conference, man. Again, teams that are supposed to be bottom feeders are not necessarily bottom feeders. They may not win 10 games. They may win 5, 6, 7 games, but they're proving that they can win. So, you can take nothing for granted, especially if you're A&M, who's had these struggles over the years.
Yeah, and I gotta slap myself on the wrist now because as you say that, you had Vanderbilt go out there and beat Bama, who just looked like they were all world against Georgia. And then you had Arkansas, a team that we beat the week before, go out there and beat an undefeated top 5 Tennessee. So I absolutely agree with you. Kentucky is giving people challenges. They're not even ranked yet, I don't believe. You gotta come with your stuff strapped up. And that's one thing, going back to our Fisher and Elko comparison. I feel like Mike Elko doesn't take his foot off the gas, and I don't think he allows his players to take their foot off the gas, and I know he doesn't allow the coaches or the captains of the team to take their foot off the gas. So I feel great about it from that standpoint of whether we're playing in Mississippi State and Auburn, New Mexico. I don't think that I don't think he takes any opponent lightly, and he knows that in order to be where we need to be at the end of the year, we've got to come into every week with good preparation, good practice, strong foundation, and go out there and handle business. So from that aspect, I love Elko being the man behind the helm, just because I know that he won't let these guys get complacent and go out there and let one slip out from under us. So I feel, again, I keep on saying, I really feel good about our chances right now.
Jamie, I want to read you this. It was for me, but I want you to answer it, and then I'll give my answer on it. That Aggie kid on the YouTube page wants to know why I chose A&M. I'm going to ask you, why'd you choose A&M?
As a school to come to?
Yeah.
Man, to be honest with you, growing up, I loved all sports. We had at my high school, Midland Lee, we had Cedric Benson, rest in peace. He was a big UT guy, so I watched a lot of UT growing up. Ricky Williams, the whole nine. I really liked OU, and I really liked Miami. Eric Winston, our tackle, he ended up going to Miami and did his thing in the league. So, I was up for whoever wanted me. But my sophomore year, I played receiver. My sophomore year on varsity, I was a junior receiver, and then I got 1 year. My head coach decided to retire going into my senior year, so we had a spread coach come in, and I got to finally go back to doing quarterback, which I had done my whole life. And every team that recruited me, they wanted me to either be a DB or a receiver. Some said you could come in and you're going to be starting right now at receiver, or vice versa, DB. I think Oklahoma State wanted me to be a safety. But A&M was one of the only schools that was going to allow me to stay at quarterback. Granted, at the time they had Reggie McNeil. I think Steven was there as a red shirt. They had very good talent at quarterback. But the quarterback was the love of my life. I did quarterback, point guard. I always had the ball in my hands and wanted to, be the one trusted to make the decisions. So with A&M offering me, I remember my quarterback coach in high school coming to me in mid-season saying, man, A&M is a great school. I don't know if you're going to get too much better than this. I wouldn't take my chances and let somebody else take the scholarship. So I went ahead and committed. And loyalty, I just stayed committed. I remember my mom's big thing was, what? You didn't talk to me? And they told her the scholarship was fully paid for, and she was all good. So after that, it was A&M was part of our deal. And then me and my brother being 10 months apart, it was only right that he came in right behind me. But, A&M was never on my radar as a kid growing up. And it's just funny how life has a way of presenting things to you. And when you take a chance and grab the wheel, it's the best decision I feel like I ever made. I got a million of good lifelong buddies, memories, all this stuff. And, I still rep A&M as much as I can to this day. Like I said, I think it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I was glad that I was able to come there and meet the people that I was able to meet.
I'll make mine quick. I grew up in Aggie or Hurricane, right? I was either going to go to Miami or Texas A&M. One of my brothers went to Miami. My other brother, Alex, went to Texas A&M. I grew up, and even before that, my cousin George went to A&M. So I grew up watching Bucky and Greg Hill and all those guys play. And that was the football team that I identified with. It's all about college football. My decision. Yeah. Then I started coming to campus as a kid, and I always felt like I was going to either move to South Florida or go to College Station. And of course, I made the right choice and came to the best university on the planet. So that's how I ended up at A&M.
Absolutely, man. I love it, man. And good thing you didn't do Florida. All this hurricane season and stuff. Goodness gracious. I pray for them guys out there. I know it's been tough. But yeah, you don't get none of that in Texas, just some heat.
Well, we do get hit with a hurricane, but just not this particular one. Jamie, great stuff as always, my friend. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, David. Y'all have a great week.
Thank you, my friend. Jamie Morrison is going to be joining us here on the program next on TexAgs Live. Right now, we're talking about Varsity Grill House. I know I'm coming to go eat there with a big group real soon. If you haven't been to the Varsity Grill House, we're talking classy. It's not a sports bar. It's a sports-themed restaurant, but it's just like you can take the wife there. You can take the kids there. You can get great food. You can watch games there. You can just kind of have a business meeting, which I'm going to have there in a couple weeks. They have everything. The savory four-farm steaks. They have an awesome atmosphere, mouth-watering dishes, you name it. Obviously, the drinks are phenomenal there, and they have the best desserts. It's a place that can take care of your catering needs. If you just want to have a nice date night, you need to go to the Varsity Grill House. They're right by the Academy, like right in front of the Academy there on Highway 6. They guarantee a lasting impression when you go there to the Varsity Grill House. You're home for good times and great food. We'll see you there at the Varsity Grill House. Look, I'm going to say it, Jamie. I'm reading this from a press release. The Aggies upset number 24 Auburn for the second straight conference win on Sunday afternoon in Neville Arena. I don't think it's an upset because I think you guys are, if not better, as you mentioned to me a moment ago, evenly matched. But I understand the rankings play a part in the way we look at things. Rankings don't matter right now.
They don't matter. Well, we don't get a welcome back. We don't get an introduction.
Sorry, I was just, it made me hot. Welcome back, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see you.
I'm Jamie Morrison, head coach of the volleyball team.
So you were so busy chatting yesterday after your press conference, I tapped you on your shoulder and there was no movement. You were in the zone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
So now we're going to give each other a virtual hug here on the show.
Yeah, afterwards we'll get a real one maybe.
You guys are playing great. You all are playing great.
Yeah. And the SEC is a grind. And there's teams that are ranked, teams that aren't. But I kid you not, every single night somebody can beat somebody. We're heading off to play Ole Miss. They beat Tennessee last week. Well, Tennessee was ranked, now they're not. Like, it's going to be this thing where people are in here and it's a battleground. And I've said it every single time I came in here. I said it as we were starting the SEC. But it's proving to be absolutely correct. And every coach I talk to is like, 100% every single night you got to be on. So great win. And again, I'm not necessarily going to call it an upset. I thought they were two really good teams. And I think Brenton, their head coach, and I said that right beforehand, that this is going to be a battle, and it was.
Depending on matchups, right? Like, you have, 10, 12 teams that can make a run in the NCAA tournament, all in the SEC? Is that fair?
I think they have these RPI futures that come out that kind of prognosticate what the RPI at the end of the year will look like. And right now, the SEC could get 10 teams. Wow. Yeah. It's, again, there's a lot of good going on.
Uh-huh. And you like the good that you all are playing at?
Oh, 100%. I think we're playing good volleyball, and I have talked about it over and over again. In order to be great, you have to prolong the stretches that those happen. And if you look at our match against Auburn, it was just good volleyball for very long periods, and it's really hard to play against when that happens. And usually people just say, hey, I've had enough, and at some point in that set, maybe it's 18, 19, 20 points in, they're like, all right, and they cough up a 2 or 3 point run, and that's how you win in great volleyball matches. And we're starting to be able to do that for longer and longer stretches.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I'm listening to Coach Elko's presser yesterday and talking about that championship culture he's trying to establish and knowing how to finish teams and that can be applied in every sport. And it sounds like you're kind of thinking the same thing there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think everyone just looks at sport and it's this execution piece. And at some level, everybody can execute. Like when you get good enough, and we'll talk about rankings. If you're a top 25 team and not based on what's voted, if you are legitimately in that mix, everyone can play good volleyball. And it's about getting to 2020 and looking across the net and trusting what I have in my tank to be able to say, hey, I can push right now and I can push a little bit harder than you. And I think that's where teams separate at that moment. It's either the mental skills that they've trained or it's, hey, I've been pushed harder to the point where I can get through this right now and do it better than you at this moment. But that's where it matters if you're at that level. And you have to get good enough to be there to trust those things. But I think we're at that point right now.
Well, speaking of RPI, it has you at 22 right now. You're receiving votes in the rankings. Again, if you take care of business, everything else, especially for playing in the SEC, will take care of itself.
No, I've said that the entire time. Like I'm not a fan of rankings. I actually like the computer-generated ones more than I do the opinion ones. But if we keep taking care of business, those things will take care of themselves. We'll get some recognition there, but that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this to win.
Well, Logan's getting some recognition, though.
Yeah,
let's give Logan some props. SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Just talk about the level she's playing at.
And I keep talking about it in here. And like she got the Offensive Player of the Week. The thing I gave her the most props on afterwards was 18 digs. Is the ability to develop as an all-around volleyball player to influence what happens on the court. And we talk about that a lot within our program. There's a lot of stuff that shows up on that box score. And then there's a lot of stuff that doesn't, that influences the way we win. And she's doing a lot of those things really well. The passing of a free ball, the defensive plays, the serving, all of those things that don't necessarily show up. She's starting to up her game in those areas as well.
When she ups her game in those areas, I assume it's like the rest of the team recognizes that, hey, one of our top players is able to do this. We've got to raise our game as well.
No, there's an iron sharpens iron effect, and that's everybody. I mean, if you look at any team that's out there, like she's getting the accolades for it, but there's another 5 people on the court. There's another 7 people that might not be seeing the court in that match that are pushing each other in practice every single day. And those are the things that matter to make sure that the boat rises as this thing goes.
So before the segment, we were talking about your schedule this week. Yeah. And just in general, like we don't have as bad as some others, and we'll talk about them in a minute, but let's just talk a little bit about what your day and week looks like.
Yeah, it's a grind. It's a road trip, and I think our team's done a great job. And before the Ole Miss, it was our first SEC road game, and we fly the day before. I've talked about, I think I talked during the presser, just of gratitude for what this university gives us in terms of resources. And we go get on our plane and fly. We get off the plane, go straight to practice, get off from practice, go straight to dinner, go to a hotel. For Ole Miss, it was go to the hotel, go to bed, wake up the next morning at 10 o'clock, watch a little bit of video, head to the gym at 11, play at 2, get on a plane afterwards, and came home. So again, I talk about it's a military operation. We're dropping in on a helicopter. We got to go in and take care of business against this team, and then we head back. And this little 3-game stretch I'm looking forward to seeing how our team responds, because again, they did great in that, but we got home probably around 8 o'clock on Sunday. Luckily it's fall break, so the girls got to sleep in. Normally they'd have school. Practiced around 2 o'clock yesterday, and then we do it all over again today. Another military operation. So I get done here, I'll probably go home, hang out with my daughter for a little bit, and then we watch a little bit of video again, hop on another airplane, head to Ole Miss. This time we play tomorrow night, so it's a little bit longer of a day tomorrow. And then again, military operation, take care of business there. Get on the plane, come home afterwards. That'll be Wednesday night. Thursday we'll take off, practice Friday, leave again on Saturday and go play LSU. And then we head back, and that's the end of the stretch. But I really like the way we responded so far of like military-like, get in, recover, practice, go do it again. And we got to keep doing that.
I want to get back to travel here in a second with what's happening in the Big Ten, but something I've heard you mention multiple times, not just this week, but in the past, is gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something you try to practice daily?
100%. Yeah, I think for me, it's the gateway to happiness. I think, and we talk a lot about what happens in here, but we are hardwired to look for danger in the world. Yeah. We're hardwired to look for the negative in the world, because that's a survival mechanism. I don't want to leave this world, so I'm going to be looking for things that could possibly impact me in a negative way. But we live in a pretty, nice environment where we have, again, a charter flight to go take and all of these things. And if we continue to look for those things, we'll be anxious, we'll be sad, we'll be all of these things, we'll feel threatened. And so we can, hardwire this thing a little bit differently and choose to look for the positive, look for things that we're grateful for. So for me, I try to do it as much as I possibly can.
I love that. Yeah. I think I need more of that in my life, because I look for the danger, like, that guy is whatever. You know what I mean? Let's get back to the travel thing, because you all are traveling quite a bit, and it's a crazy schedule. But what's happening in the Big Ten, we think about it from a football perspective, but that's 3-4 road trips a year.
Yeah.
Spread out through a couple of months. What's happening in the Big Ten is ridiculous.
It's crazy. And, again, everyone looks at this from a football lens, but I think even the football coaches, I remember there was a head coach, maybe it was Missouri, that talked about this from a baseball perspective. And we're in the middle of this where we have, 10 road trips a year, something like that. But if you're a baseball, a tennis, one of these ones where it's just our track, where it's constantly you're bouncing around the country. I think I saw some stat where someone was traveling 30,000 miles in a year and taking 5 or 6 hour flights, and people are getting home at 6 a.m. and just that's not good for our student athletes. And I think that needs to be taken into account as people are looking at this.
Let's close out with this. Just we've talked about the trajectory, how you feel about the team. There's a bumpy road ahead. How do you navigate through not only the travel, the rough games, and also keeping that championship mentality?
Yeah, I want to go back to the first question, the last question, then to say, again, gratitude. I'm grateful for the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Just that we're regional. I just want to make sure I say that. I'm not complaining about what we have to do here. I think we're lucky that our longest flight's 2.5, 3 hours. So really thankful that this has stayed regional. What do we have to do? Stay business-like.
And military operation you're talking about, yeah.
And it was funny, I didn't talk to our team about this, but I looked around and everyone was wearing all black. I'm like, perfect. We're ninja-like right now. Yeah. We just snuck in here. We're going to go ahead and take care of business, and we're going to sneak out. And I think we have to have that mentality right now of, hey, we're going to get in, be efficient with what we're doing, both in the way we prep, the way that we recover, and then the way we go out and execute, and have that on repeat over and over again for the next 6 days, whatever that is.
Jamie, great stuff, man. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back, the KBTX Roundtable. Before that, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff and personal touch is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They're Aggieland's first green car wash. They recycle 100% of their water, and they have 2 great locations. You got the original William D. Fitch behind the Shipleys in South College Station, and the new location, 2528 Texas Avenue South in College Station, across from Planet Fitness. Both offer all the services you want, but the Texas Avenue location offers a full-service wash. They'll take care of all the cleaning, the drying, the vacuuming, all the good stuff. Ask about their 3 levels of full-service washes, and we're going to give away a free one right now. If you want to try it, call 979-693-1150. We're going to give the first caller a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash, the Texas Avenue location. That's a $40 value. You'll get it for free. Call right now, 979-693-1150. 11:50. And we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, KBTX Roundtable. Hello, Nicole.
Good morning.
Tyler, hello.
Morning.
How are my friends doing? We good?
Great.
Good.
So
Bye week.
I'm going to put you on blast.
Me?
I'm going to put you on blast. What did you think of the game on Saturday?
I thought it was great.
Okay.
Yeah. Great game.
It was not, what's the word I'm going to look for here? You didn't have to bite your nails if you were heavily invested, right?
No. Correct.
Which was surprising. I thought it was going to be one of those down to the wire type games. And
right from the get-go, you saw how comfortable Connor was in that offense. And there was the big touchdown that got called back for holding. That was the one time where I thought, okay, here we go. But then that got called back and they stalled, and I just thought, wow, this is going to be a beatdown, isn't it?
I figured out why it was not so nerve-wracking. What you've gotten accustomed to watching college football Saturdays at Kyle Field or just A&M in general. The difference in the coaching. And that's not a shot at Jimbo, but Jimbo's, it felt like, I don't know if philosophy is the right word, but it felt like a Jimbo-type game was, no matter who you're playing, those games are going to be tight. You could be playing one of the best teams in the country. You're going to have a chance. You're going to break your fans' hearts by giving you a chance in the fourth quarter and not winning.
But the opposite of that is worse, too, because when you're playing someone who's
like
not...
App State, Mississippi State, these other opponents,
They shouldn't be in those games.
Yeah. And this was, we're better than you. Our offensive line is going to manhandle your defensive line. Our defensive line is going to manhandle your offensive line and your quarterback, and this is the result of that. And that, to me, was the difference, is owning the line of scrimmage.
Oh, and by the way, the 12th man and Kyle Fields, tough place to play.
Wait, there was at least 4 seats available. I mean, that whole talk about people not coming. I've been coming to these games for 30-plus years. Like, this is what A&M does. It doesn't matter if it's 11 a.m. or midnight game. People are coming.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys agree. Like, okay, you went on a diatribe.
We're down low, so we can't see.
Well, you can feel it.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Mo Bamba
Yeah.
when the place goes crazy.
Well, and then they played it twice? They didn't play it 3 times.
I think it was 3.
They played it 3.
Callie says it was 3.
It was 3 times.
Confirmation.
So, I know people. I'm on the away side, so I'm on the student section side.
Yep.
And so I have the cadets and then other fans. And when they played it the second time, that's when I know I need to get my cutaways.
Yeah.
Is when Mo Bamba starts. So.
It does slap, as the kids say.
Oh,
ew. Too old to be saying it slaps, David. So, at what point did you guys realize, oh snap, Connor's starting today? Who wants to take it? You want to start off, Tyler?
Well, so we're doing our pregame show at Aggie Park up until kickoff, basically, and we're hearing the reports of, well, Connor's healthy, and we're
he's
thinking,
dressed,
well,
he's available.
He's dressed, he's available, and we're like, well, all signs are pointing towards that, but is this another mind game?
Right.
What is actually going to happen? So we didn't see it physically until we got out there, but we started hearing the reports. I didn't know exactly what to believe, and then I saw the videos and saw the pictures of, oh, well, he's warming up with the first team, and I thought, well, I don't know how much of a mind game this is at this point.
Elko's really pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, maybe they'll throw Jalen Henderson to start just to really mess with Drinkwitz. But
the other guy.
It really, wasn't until that half hour leading up to kickoff that like, okay, we're going back to Wigman. Let's see what happens.
Were you surprised by it, Nicole? Did you think like, no, he's healthy, let's go?
I was a little surprised because if he didn't go in the Arkansas game, just like how much rest does he need? Like how injured is he? Not how injured is he, but how much time does he need?
How healthy is he to go?
And so, and there'd be, I think, a lot of pressure put on a quarterback. There always is, but if you put them in a ranked opponent at home after the backup quarterback has just won 3 straight games, Connor has to win that game. And so when they were scored on after their third straight drive that they scored, our affiliate in Missouri was there shooting, and I looked at him with the sports reporter there, and I was like, what is going on? And he's like, this is about to get ugly. And I go, about to?
It is.
Yes. Like, what is going on? And so I just think Missouri, on the other side of that, Connor played very well and out of his mind, and such a good coming out game, especially being on the bench for so long. But also Missouri, just like, what's going on? Like, they haven't played on the road, and then this is the first.
They hadn't been punched in the mouth at all.
And this is the first atmosphere that they play in. And so I think it was both sides. 2 things can be true. Missouri might not be what we quite expect, but Connor also played really well.
So for 3.5 years of doing this show, I've been asking, if you give good offensive line play and decent quarterback play, you're going to win a lot of games, right? And which is Captain Obvious again, but like we're getting exceptional offensive line play, and that was an elite performance from the quarterback. And oh, by the way, Coach Elko's really good at defense, and so is Jay Bateman. You got that defense too. So like, taking a step back, I don't want to say it should have been predictable, but this is what happens when you play at that level.
Well, I think maybe why it wasn't predictable is we just haven't seen it in so long. And now that we've seen it, it's like, oh yeah,
That's
duh.
right.
This is what they're capable of. This is what happens. But we sometimes feel like we're a little hesitant just because of the recent history that we've seen. Again, I go back to 2020. That was the last time we saw some stellar offensive line play, decent quarterback play. What do? They go 9-1. One of the biggest question marks going into this season for me was, how good will the offensive line be after what the past couple of seasons have been? Well, now we're getting our answer. And when you have that offensive line, it makes up for a lot of different holes. And then you get a Le'Veon Moss, who just is a beast running the football. And then Connor Wigman, the way he plays quarterback. It doesn't matter that you don't have that number one receiver, maybe, when you have all these other weapons and the front as dominant as they are.
Nicole, what'd you make of the whole blanket thing?
I was very confused by it. So that tweet came out, or Instagram came out Friday, right? And so we're locked in on high school football, so I wasn't really, but I just had seen it. I was like, I don't really know. That's really weird. Why would he send that? How would he even get that there? And then
break into the room,
and he typed it on and printed it off. Like what? I don't even know how our printer works at work sometimes. So then on pregame, it was in the press room. I turned to Sam and I'm like, of The Athletic, and I'm like, what is this? What's happening?
Yeah.
Why would he do this? And then he's like, oh, I think they know each other and yada yada. And then all of a sudden, Mike Elko's like, I think you need to talk to Eli. And I was like, what is going on? And then he showed up. I don't know. I was very confused by the whole thing. And then it just looks silly, I think.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it is silly. The whole, and I know Drinkwitz is trying to kind of light a fire and get him going, but in hindsight, it looks really just dumb when you come into the stadium wearing that blanket. And if that's the coach that plants it,
that was a precursor for what happened.
Exactly. Like you just set yourself up for the joke.
The blanket was on you, buddy. That's exactly what happened.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. And I'm glad you brought up some of these points. For a 20-year-old, whatever he is, 21-year-old to go, I'm going to go to a print place. I'm going to print it out really nice. I'm going to write in this awesome font. Also, I'm either going to make friends with the cleaning team to get me into the room, or I'm going to break through the window like Batman style
and get the blanket.
Yeah, and do and go to CC Creations, purchase that, and I'm going to put my name on it. But then when they ask me about it, I'm going to be like, I had nothing to do with it. Like, look, it wasn't me. No, that's not how that works. It'd be different if pregame warm-up he threw him a blanket see you in a little bit.
Or I'd be really surprised if he did do that. Say he was trying to finesse that, and what would Elko say to that? If Elko was
to play here.
If that was to find out you're trying to do what? Send a message? You send a message with your pads.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that Michael Jordan story where the fake one, but where he goes in and I forget who it was, but he goes in the opposing locker room before the game and lace him up. It's gonna be a long night, and he drops 63 on Boston. But I mean.
Michael, he would do it.
He's the guy that would do it. But yeah, this wasn't that.
All right, let's do another segment here. TexAgs Wing Shoot. Thanks to our friends at Bird Dog. You got to check it out. It's going to be November the 6th or the 8th in Brady, Texas. You can purchase tickets at birddogit.com/TXAGS Hunt. All-inclusive hunt. Come down to Brady, Texas for a 2-night upland shoot with some Aggie legends. Be guided hunting, skeet shooting, axe throwing, cold beverages, Aggie fellowship, live music from a country music legend. I can't say who it is just yet, but it's going to be cool. You're going to want to see it. 14 spots available. I think there's only 6 spots left. Make sure you purchase it. I'll be there. Chris Harrington will be there. It's going to be a fun time. Bird Dog is an Aggie owned and operated company creating access to hunting opportunities. Think of an Airbnb for hunting, streamlined booking process, finding it easy to book hunts and also easy for the landowners. They have so many different options. They partner with 60 ranches across the United States and, of course, around the world as well. You can go to Africa and hunt. You can go many, many places. The website is birddogit.com, but for this particular all-inclusive hunt, birddogit.com/TXAGS Hunt. That is birddogit.com/TXAGS Hunt. So who else noticed that my microphone's in the middle of my shirt?
I did.
Nicole did. Tyler did.
If you zoom
Nick,
in?
they don't like it. They want it up high. They want a TV newscaster style.
Okay. Easy.
It's TexAgs Live. We're just friends here, having a good old time. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, KBTX Roundtable, Tyler and Nicole with us. All right, so this football team bye week. A lot of times you get to the bye week, people say, it's coming at a good time. It's coming. I want more football. That's what Olin and I started with. Like, after that, I kind of want more football.
They need rest.
They do.
They need some rest.
I'm talking about me, not them.
Okay, well, let's think about the team. No, I think it's coming at a great time. 5-1. They're coming off. I feel like this team has proven that they can overcome each challenge that they faced outside of Notre Dame. But I feel like that this is just a team that just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
They go on the road. They beat Florida, kind of the first main test. Then you have Jerry World, second main test because everything gets weird up there. And then you have your top 25 game, and that's another big test, SEC at home. Win that.
Well, and maybe, Tyler, Arkansas is better than people think, right?
Well,
or just the SEC is better.
After they beat Tennessee, I mean, things are getting weird out there.
SEC is weird.
No, I don't think Arkansas is a bad team, and again, I think each of these weeks they've kind of leveled up and they've passed every test and proven them. Now, again, with the timing of the bye week, you always hope it's not a momentum killer,
right?
Because they are kind of getting that same. But the nice thing is Mississippi State.
It's a hard place to play, though.
I understand, and you never want to count your chickens. But if there is a team in the SEC that you're going to play, coming off a momentum-killing bye week.
But I know across the street, Nicole, they're probably like, that's not even if I'm Coach Elko, I'm showing Vanderbilt, I'm showing Arkansas, I'm showing all, guys, this is what happens when you have a bad week of practice or you don't come execute on a game day.
Especially with noise around this program, external noise, like national media, calling for A&M, putting them in the same sentence as a college football playoff, and it's like, don't get complacent this week going into Mississippi State.
The great teams deal with that, the talk about being on the playoff team, and the great teams find a way to navigate through it. Sure, they may have a dud, but they find a way, and that's the championship culture, Tyler, that I think Coach Elko was talking about yesterday.
Well, exactly, and again, we're about to find out how this team deals with that, because that talk is only going to ramp up, especially with them being off this week. They're going to still be including A&M in that playoff conversation, and then all the what-ifs of A&M and Texas at the end of the season, where those teams are going to be standing at, with a chance for SEC on the line maybe. But I feel confident in Elko and this coaching staff and the way they have the program, the way the culture is and what he's built. And Elko feels confident with it right now. I think he said, they are learning what a winning mentality looks like.
Thank you very much, Tyler, Nicole. Appreciate you. We'll come back to Jordan Pugh next on TexAgs Live. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll talk to Jordan Pugh. The great part about talking to Jordan is I got to see his instant reaction to the game on Saturday, and then I get to get the Jordan who's kind of thought about things for a few days and kind of let it marinate. Jordan, good morning, buddy.
Hey, man, how you doing?
It was good to see you on Saturday, man. It was fun to do the show with you and see you in the press box. What'd you think of Saturday?
Man, I loved it. I think it's been about 4 years now since I've been back. So it was good to be back, man. It felt like home again. Love the changes. I got a chance to accidentally sneak into the facilities, and see around and see what's new. And I do have to say I am thoroughly impressed with what's down there. Man, but it felt good, man, being able to see everybody, talk to everybody on the sideline. As far as the game, man, utter domination from our point. Sitting back and having time to really look at it, man, we put a complete game together. For the first time, I think, in a long time. The offense was flowing. You had a rhythm to the offense. The defense was doing their thing. Special teams came up big. I mean, even down to punts, man, going out at the 1 yard line or the 1 inch line. I just thought overall, man, it was a total team effort, total team performance. Everything that we're capable of being, everything that we should be doing week in and week out. It was exciting to see, man, but now it's something to build upon. You have the break. You have the rest of the SEC stretch coming up. How do we stack this together, man, and how do we continue to build towards the ultimate goal of getting to the playoff?
So when you watch this team play, let's take it two different areas. Like what potentially concerns you that this is not sustainable, or the flip to that, no, this is very sustainable because of X, Y, and Z.
Everything has been sustainable from a special teams and defensive standpoint. The thing that concerns me is the offense. And what I mean by that is, what is our identity? Looking back on it and really just paying attention to what we presented offensively, we don't have a true identity yet. I believe that our identity is in the run game on offense. Now, defensively, we know that everything starts with the D-line. We are a defensive line-led defense, right? Creating chaos, pressure, and holding the run. Offensively, where do we stack? Now, you can use that and you can say that because we've been, I don't want to say inconsistent at quarterback, but we've had a revolving door so far at quarterback. It's just been the nature of what it is, guys getting hurt and people playing. On this past weekend, man, you saw a lot of intermediate pass plays. You saw Connor be really effective. You saw him be everything that you wanted him to be at the beginning of the season, right? The Connor that we know, the Connor that I love. But then when you look at the run game and what our offensive line has done, how we've been putting teams away, especially in the second half, in the fourth quarter, I'm starting to lean towards us being more of a run team. But does that change now that Connor's back? Does that change now after the bye week and we have time to really assess? We have time to put some things in, get Connor back acclimated. What is our identity on offense? I think once we define that, it'll really tell us a lot more about this team and how we can progress moving forward.
See, Jordan, I think they've already identified that. I know what your point is, that now that you can throw the ball, but like if you look at this game, 36 rushing attempts, 236 yards. They've been doing that pretty much every single game. The beauty is the only 22 passes in that game, they threw, I think, 3, maybe 2 passes in the second half. Like, they didn't have to pass the ball, right? So I like the ability of, we can throw it on you when we need to, and we're going to open up some drives doing that. But our bread and butter is our offensive line mashing and Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels and E.J. Smith running.
Well, the question is, and it's kind of a dumb question to ask, but the question is, do the coaches understand that? Now, it sounds crazy, but let me explain. When you look at Connor and what they did in that first game against Notre Dame, man, they wanted to spread it out. They wanted to get the ball out to the receivers out in open space. When you look at him exiting, getting hurt, and Marcel Reed coming in, you saw the run game start to take over, start to take more effect. You saw that identity start to take place within that 3 to 4 game stretch, right, if we include the Missouri game. Now, with Connor being back and now the bye week coming, the question is, how do you blend the two? Because there's going to come a point where we play stiff enough defenses. Let's just take Texas as an example, because that's the big dog right now, right? Where they'll take away the run game. Now the pass game has to take over. Where is the blend in that? Where's the play action? Where's the boost? Where's the waggles? How does all that come together? And that's what I mean about the identity. I agree with you that we have formed that in the run game, but also at the same time, you have your passer back, your guy who can throw in tight windows, who can throw anticipation balls. How do we blend it all together? That's the question.
Well, I got another one for you then, along those same lines. The identity of this program is dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides. And the offensive line is light years ahead of where they They have been the last few years. And the defensive line, if you're going to sit back there and pass, they're going to get to you.
Yeah, well, I would say this. I would agree with that with the line of scrimmage, but I would say our identity is a defensive team. That's what I'd say. We are a defensive-led team. That's who we are right now. Our best side of the football is on defense, hands down. We control the line of scrimmage. We create chaos. We get after the quarterback. But the thing that I'm going to keep harping on and keep going back to is now that you have your leader back, now that you have your passer back, how do you blend both worlds? Because, man, it's been 4 to 5 weeks without him now, right? So how do you combo that? How do you take his skill set and how do you thrive on that? Now, with that offensive line and him coming back, that's a great thing to have because you found something that you can lean on when times get tough, when you have to have it. You know you have that offensive line, you have that run game. But, man, as far as our identity, we are just a tough physical football team, and that starts with Elko, right? Everybody talks about the Elko effect. And we talked about this last week going into the game. I said we are the more physical football team, and that was on display. You're seeing that on both sides of the ball. You're seeing that in the special teams game, and that can take you a long way as the season progresses.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Let's talk about the secondary, something you know quite a bit about, and just some of the plays that we've seen them do this year. Will Lee looking fantastic, and he's not the only one.
Yeah. So why am I just now finding out about this blanket thing? I'm just now finding out about that. I don't know much about it. I just happen to scroll through Instagram and I see a blanket. I'm serious. It's a heart attack, man. Like I scroll through Instagram and I see all of a sudden a blanket and a note. Am I right on that?
Yeah, but okay. Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah, what
I'll tell you the story.
I have no idea what happened. Yeah.
All right. So on Friday, Theo Weiss, I guess, puts on his Instagram story that Will Lee had sent them. What it said, Callie, like, I'm going to cover you all day or something.
Yeah,
Look forward to this or whatever.
Yeah. Wait, he sent it to him?
Well, hold on. That's what Theo Weiss is saying, right? Okay. Somehow ended up in his room, and he came in, oh, look at this. Oh, a blanket. Oh, okay. And then Will Lee that evening tweets out, wasn't me. Okay? Then Theo Weiss shows up at Kyle Field with that blanket draped over him as a precursor to what really happened in the game because he caught nothing when Will Lee was on him. I say all that to you.
Okay.
I thought it was fake from the beginning. And then if you listen to Coach Elko's comments about it, he basically says, why don't you go ask that coaching staff because we had nothing to do with it. So it looks like somebody, at least if you're believing the A&M perspective, which I do, somebody on the Missouri side said, hey, let me motivate my team. Here's a great idea. Let's send a blanket from the guy who calls himself the blanket to one of our best receivers and see if that motivates him. But here's the flaw in the story. Do you really think an 18 to 22-year-old kid who has school and has football to get ready for has time to type out this amazing letter, go to CC Creations, buy the blanket, somehow sneak it into the room? He finds out the room list. Theo Weiss is in room 17B or whatever. And goes up there, hides, gets in, leaves it there with his name on it, and then hours later denies, no, it wasn't me. Like, come on, man, that can't happen.
Wow. Well, now that I know the information, yeah, that sounds like an inside job. There's no way. Now that I have all the information, but if I'm Will Lee, I'm owning it. I'm owning it till the cows come home. Right? I mean, he's earned the right. He's played his butt off this season. That's interesting, man. Oh wow. This is all brand new information, so I'm absorbing it right now.
It's corny though, right? Like it's corny.
Right. And then, but if I'm Will Lee, I'm owning it. Yeah, I did that. It's the confidence. And then with that being said, man, you see the confidence that they're playing with. Outside of that first play of the game where they went down the sideline, man, the defensive backs have played well. Will Lee, Ratcliffe at the safety position. We already know about Bryce Anderson, Brooks. All of our guys, man, are combining, man, and they're playing well. But a lot of it all stems from the defensive line. The nation is not talking about our defensive line enough, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep preaching it. Those guys are phenomenal up front, especially Nick Scourton. Nick Scourton is really coming into his own. He's defining himself as the alpha, but that is helping the defensive backs overall. When you know that you have a D-line that can create chaos, that can create pressure on the quarterback, where the quarterback is constantly thinking about that timer going off in his head, man, it allows you to play more free. It allows you to play more aggressive, man, and you can make more plays on the football. our defensive backs, man, are really starting to come into their own. They have grown each and every week. But now you've identified a guy, man, who could take away a portion of the field and Will Lee. Man, he's been going against the best receivers. He's been holding his own. It's allowing the safeties to be able to play free and roam and play the football in the air. I think that the cohesiveness of this group, the cohesiveness of the defense is all coming together, man, at the right time. But it's all stemming from what that D-line is doing.
How about that Terry Bussey play? As a wide receiver, Connor makes a bad decision. It looks like it's going to be a pick. And like somehow, Matrix style, he puts his hands up there, breaks up the play. The instincts of a DB stays with the DB, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a two-way guy. You know what I mean? That's a guy who understands both sides of the ball and who's been on both sides of the ball. But that's a game-defining play that nobody wants to talk about because that could change the momentum, the swing of the football. Man, you know the ball can bounce so many different ways, but him making that heads-up play, especially as a young guy, especially as a freshman, understanding the situation, that was a big swing, man, and big play by him.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Live. I just like that this team is not letting those little plays become plays, right? Like, because for instance, this game, I still believe it would have been a blowout regardless. Mm-hmm. But a play or two can change the way that, like, if they're able to connect on one of those early touchdowns, the one that they missed by just inches and the pass interference, the game feels like it plays differently. I still think A&M is going to run all day on them, and they're going to get to Brady Cook as much as they wanted. But the vibe of it feels different. This was a pretty much stress-free game because they did limit those early big plays.
Yes, and that's where you see the accountability of what Elko brings to the table, right? Holding his players accountable. The one thing that you see for this team, I think it was the beginning of the third quarter where we got kind of sloppy, right? A lot more penalties. Things could have got out of hand. They could have fought their way back into the game, but you saw them reassess, come back, and finish the game out. That's the accountability factor. When you're looking at that, man, you're talking about a focus level. When you get up that big, trust, I've been in those situations. You get up that big, you're laughing, you're smiling on the sideline, you kind of let loose, you lax. But having Elko and his staff, man, being able to get the guys refocused, locked back in, man, that accountability factor is taking place. But that's not something that just happens on one Saturday. That's something that is built over the entire offseason. The offseason, you're putting your footprint on the football team. You're putting your thought process, man, on the football team, your standard, and all that stuff is starting to take place. You're seeing it build throughout the season because there's plenty of times in the Arkansas game where it could have turned. Times early on in the Missouri game, it could have turned. You look at the initial game against Notre Dame, man, where it's just the dogfight, the initial adversity. You're seeing all the deposits that are put in the offseason, the accountability, the standard that's being upheld. You're seeing that showcase itself on Saturdays when those adverse situations come.
You know what's interesting, Jordan, is that you look at the team that played against Notre Dame, and Coach Elko told us from the beginning, like, just be patient with us. This is the first year of a new regime, new players, but it's hard in the moment. But what we have seen is a team that is getting better, right? Like, and the hope is it continues that way, right? Like, the hope is this Missouri game is not just a one-off, like that there's more of this, that maybe Mississippi State is slapped down. Then it sets up a massive showdown with a team that might be in the top 10 if they can take care of business this week against Ole Miss, like in LSU, right? Like, but the thing is, if you are getting better, all these things that we've talked about for the last few years since the 2020 season actually become a possibility and hopefully a reality.
Well, the key to what you just said was the last drive of the game. The last portion when it gets down to the goal line and we hold them, we stifle them. That is a culture set. That when everybody talks about culture can be defined 88 million different ways. But when you look at culture in a season-defining moment, that you can look back to that moment right there. The game is clearly in hand. We're dominating them at all facets. 10 seconds left, whatever it was in the game, and we still are fighting to make sure they know that we're the dominant team. That's what you're looking for in a program. And no matter what the situation is, no matter what we have at hand, how far we're above, we're not letting you get in this end zone. That right there seems little, but it's not. Those are players that understand the assignment. They understand the standard. They understand what Elko wants. And seeing that on Saturday brought me a lot of joy because I said, man, this thing is trending in the right way now. Guys are playing hard. There's no quit, and they don't stop until the game is done. That's what you're looking for in a team. Those are the team-defining things, man, throughout the season that you can pinpoint and go back hindsight and look at it like, okay, that's when we really started coming together.
I brought this up a couple different times. I love a player's perspective on it. So
Yep.
In the Jimbo regime, games were tight, right? Against teams that should be better than you, Jimbo's teams had an ability to muddy the waters enough to make it a close game and give you a chance in the fourth quarter. The problem with that is that would happen sometimes against inferior opponents too, right? Like every game was a stress bomb. All of them, right? Like, so getting a blowout like this that wasn't a stress bomb is such, like, it feels like so out of left field, but this is what it's supposed to feel like, Jordan, right? Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, that's what we said at the beginning of the year, man. Look, there's nothing wrong with having expectations, because when you look at what we've done from a facility standpoint and an investment standpoint, you look at the player acquisitions that we've had, you better expect that. That's what you want to happen. But now, I told you at the beginning of the season, man, it's not necessarily the ingredients. Sometimes it's just the chef that knows how to make the right meal. And right now, what Elko is doing, man, he understands that this is the process. It's a long game that he's playing. You're seeing early effects of his plan taking place now. I think we're at 5 straight games now. You're seeing a team that's starting to dominate and take over games. You're looking at a physical football team, rushing attack. You're looking at a defense that's creating turnovers and chaos. You're seeing guys. You're looking at our quarterback situation, like we said earlier at the post game, where we have depth now. You're seeing the makings of a real football program, not a team, a program. And that starts with the head, man. And so looking at it, man, coming from the Jimbo era now to the Elko era, I think Elko understands the type of player that he has. He understands what this program is about. But the number one thing is that the players are meeting the standard now. That's what they've done so far through 6 games. Now, we got to finish. That's the one thing that we've always struggled with. We've always struggled with finishing strong. Okay, so now that we got this bye week, we got a week to reassess. We got a week to really start looking forward to the end of the run. How do we finish? This is going to be the makings moving forward of what Elko brings to the table.
Jordan, last thing for you. Let's talk a little bit about just what the bye week can mean for a team that has momentum, right? And how not to lose that momentum during an off week.
The first thing I'm telling them is I don't know how good we are. That's the first thing I'm saying when I walk into the meeting room. When I walk into the meeting room, I talk about, hey, man, great win, y'all. I understand that was the number 9 team in the nation, but based on what I saw on film, they didn't deserve to be in the top 10. How good are we really? I'm issuing a challenge, right? It's one thing to be able to have this great game, have this great win, top 10 team at home, all that. But now it's, look, in order for us to make a real statement, it's all defined on how we finish this year out. There's been plenty of times, man, where we've been in top 15, top 10 situations, then it all falters. It comes down to a focus, a mindset, and are we willing to strain and stress in order to be able to get our point across and finish these games? That's what I'm telling the team. And in this bye week, if I'm coaching in this bye week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we full padded up, we banging. We're going at it because it's a mentality that you're trying to shift. It's a mentality understanding that the job is not done. And I think that Elko has done a good job up to this point where he's getting the players to understand that the job is not finished yet. And I think if we can get that down, if we can understand what the assignment is and finish these last 6 games, we're going to be in a spot where a lot of people are surprised, man, going into that Texas game and then possible playoff push, because we have everything that we need. The stable is full. Now, will we maximize what we have? That's what we got to focus on.
Jordan, I want you to read or hear this text. Callie will read it there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. There's one that came in from a 903. Callie, take it away.
Yeah, it says, Jordan Pugh comes to a game for the first time in 4 years at A&M, plays lights out. A coincidence? I think not. He needs to come to more games.
I'm just saying.
All I need everybody to do is just let my wife know that I'm needed at more home games, and then she'll let me at the house, right? You know what I mean? You saw the text messages from my daughters, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
The text messages. They were lighting me up from missing the soccer game. But I am working to get to the Texas game. I'm trying to, finagle some things, vacuum a little bit more around the house, man, to be able to get that down. So I'm there if I'm let loose.
Dude, we can do Thanksgiving in College Station. Bring the family. We'll make it happen.
Talk to the boss, man. Talk to the boss.
I got you. I got you, Jordan.
All right, man.
See you, man. Jordan Pugh there.
Be good.
You too, on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. Open segment. I'm sure Callie will have a couple things for us. Right now, if you're looking for a reason to come back to Aggieland, Jordan Pugh, and you're looking for maybe employment opportunities to live out here, you can look at the Association of Former Students. They're looking to hire professionals to join their team, and typically they have positions open all over the place, but a couple options: marketing, fundraising. They have a lot of different things, student programs, and much, much more. They are the nation's premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from howdy to here. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/associationjobs to apply and get more information on each position. It's the Association of Former Students. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I appreciate everybody listening in here on the program, having a good old time, just breaking things down. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner. We're going back to Callie. Callie, what's up?
What's that?
You know who sings that song?
No, but I've heard it.
I know you've heard it. That's like a stadium jam, right?
Yeah, it is. I don't know who sings it.
Mama Said Knock You Out. You know that one? Okay, same artist, same stadium. LL Cool J.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Lovely
I know
Ladies
who that
Love
is.
Cool J.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know him as an actor or as a rapper?
A rapper.
Okay, good. You know he's an actor too.
I didn't know that. Now I do.
I forget what shows he's on. But he's on.
I learned so many things.
Well, 8 Tracks and LL Cool J.
Yeah.
What did you say, Nick? He did not go to the Diddy party, Nick. No, we're not going to say that on radio either. All right, way to go. Way to get me FCC violations.
Nice.
Callie, what do you have for us?
Well, this morning, the SEC Basketball Media Days, the schedule was announced. It's next week in Birmingham, and Buzz Williams, Anderson Garcia, and Hayden Hefner will speak to the media on October 15th at 12:55 p.m., and Joni Taylor, Aisha Coulibaly, and Lauren Ware will speak on Wednesday, October 16th at 10:50. So, I mean, I was looking up the basketball schedule. It's coming so quickly, and before we know it, it'll be here. So
it's going. In fact, I need to reach out to Buzz and figure out what day he's going to be doing his hits on the program. Did you know? You probably know, but you may not know that our Olin Buchanan and Luke Evangelist are going to be covering SEC Basketball Media Days.
I feel like I could have guessed that. And maybe not Olin, but definitely Luke.
I would love to see a video of them, like what they do, like what they're talking about. Like when Olin and I are together, we talk football, we might talk politics, we talk movies. I wonder what Luke and OB would talk about.
I don't know. I don't either. The opportunities are endless.
I don't know. What else do you have for us, Kelly?
I wanted to talk about this a little bit. There was a caller on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday who basically said that the Alabama fans do not trust Kalen DeBoer right now. And I think it's so interesting because last week he was kind of their hero. And I mean, a week later they lose to Vanderbilt, which is a significant loss. But now they're saying that there's zero trust for their head coach and all these things. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the quick switch up there.
Oh, guys, I'm so sorry, Alabama. You had the greatest coach of all time ever, and you've had more than one amazing coach and your next coach has an amazing record against top 5 teams or top 10 opponents, and he stumbles, and the Alabama team stumbles, and not a lick of props to Clark Lee. It's all on Kalen DeBoer. Now, there is a drop-off from Nick Saban to Kalen. But if you're not going to appreciate your head coach a week after beating Georgia, and now you don't have trust, I get it. I understand that. Now you're like, I'm not too sure about this guy because I'm sure we would be doing the same thing. Don't allow one bad week to color because you knew it wasn't going to be Nick. It wasn't going to be. You can't go from Phil Jackson to Kurt Rambis and expect the same kind of coaching. I went NBA. Do you know either guy?
No, I knew it was NBA. I didn't know that.
So, and I'm sorry I did that to you. I don't want to put you on the spot
That's
like
okay.
old 1990s basketball coaches. But my point is, Bama, you've had it really good, and you probably are still going to make the playoffs, and it's going to be a great, you lost to Vandy, but give a little bit of props to Diego Pavia and Clark Lee and everybody there that just played at a very high level. And for a moment, I know it's hard. Give the other team props for answering every response that Alabama had. What else do you have?
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about the schedule coming up. Just Tennessee plays Alabama in 2 weeks. Georgia plays Texas, and we're potentially looking at an SEC conference where Tennessee or Bama, they will have, one team will have 2 losses, and then maybe potentially Georgia with 2 losses before A&M potentially even has their first one. And I'm not
going to go for the rat poison. I'm going to be a player on the team. I can't allow myself to go there.
I know. I would not have looked at a world at the beginning of the season where Tennessee had 2 SEC losses or Alabama in their first 4 weeks in the conference.
Here's the thing. I could have seen Bama having 2 losses because they did play Georgia. I think it's the loss that came from Vandy, right? Tennessee, I knew they were going to be really good. I don't think I had Arkansas beating them on my bingo card, but maybe having a little bit more struggles later on. I still think Nico's fantastic, but that Arkansas defense kept, what did they score, 14 points in that game?
Yeah,
okay.
Tennessee.
So, yeah, I'll just leave it at this. To me, this is a weird year. We've talked about it ad nauseum for a couple weeks, and then this weekend it really hit hard. This is a weird year in the SEC, and a wake-up call for some schools that, like, there's always about, when it was 14 teams, and when we think about the 14-team era of SEC football, we think about the SEC West, of the grind that it was. No matter what, you had Bama on your schedule, you had LSU on your schedule, you had Ole Miss, who had some really good years and some down years, and then on any given year, Mississippi State could get you, and Arkansas could get some teams if it's not played at Jerry World. And now it's a little bit more spread out. So you look at A&M's schedule, which some guy on the YouTube page said it was cake. I'm sorry that we just beat a top 10 team that wasn't worthy of their ranking. I'm sorry about that. But any of those teams can beat teams. Florida can beat some teams this year. They're not going to lose every single game. They've already proven that. South Carolina's already proven they can beat good teams and also lose to good teams, right? So LSU is one that lost their first game, has looked good since, but who have they played? We're about to find out as their schedule gets a little bit more difficult. So if you're A&M, you don't worry about that at all. You just put your head down, play, get your body and mind healthy during this bye week, and take care of Mississippi State quickly, because that place can get a little rowdy. We're going to hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we're going to talk to Hugh McElroy, Breaking Tradition. We're going to talk a little bit about the new film that's coming out here October the 23rd at Rudder. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about his story. It's going to be fun to chat, and maybe we'll even get into some of the current stuff happening with Texas A&M. So, speaking of documentary films and cool films, there's a way that normal people, you don't have to be a football legend like Hugh McElroy. He is a legend, but you can be an everyday Joe and have a documentary done by you, by our good friends at Heritage Films. That's what Chance McClain and his company do. They do documentaries about normal people, about families, family businesses, family ranches, family get-togethers, buddies get together. You guys play golf, you go hunting, you do all these awesome things together. Let Chance and his creative team be an eye in the sky and tell that story. And tell that story in a way that's going to be preserved for the next 2,000 years. I don't know about 2,000, but you get my point. It is something for the next generation and the generation after that. And you can tell the story and come from the source. We did one with my dad. My dad's 94. He's still with us. But we wanted to make sure we got that story done while the kids were somewhat young. And then they watched it. And then in a few years from now, they'll get to watch it again. And they're going to see, they're going to know that story differently than had I told them. They're going to hear it from their grandfather. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Breaking Tradition premieres October 23rd at A&M's Rudder Theater, sponsored by the Association of Former Students, a movie made by Texas Filmworks. Our CEO, Brandon Jones, said in a press release on TexAgs not long ago, we set out a plan to tell the Hugh McElroy story, but ultimately went in a much deeper and richer direction than originally expected. For the public to finally see this touching and inspirational film is something we are very excited about. To talk about it, we've got the young man right here, Hugh McElroy, who's looking on his phone for something he told me that I did not know a minute ago. Hugh, how are you, sir?
I'm well, thanks, David.
So, okay, I got to get into the movie, but what you just told me 5 seconds before we started, he asked me, and Nick, you'll appreciate this, how the term Nuño's Niños came about. I was like, I think it's, and I started giving my reason. I'm the older guy on the show, and I brought some orders to the back, and you're like, actually, you texted that idea in, apparently, right?
I did, and just like anytime you're looking for a picture, I can't find it.
Right. So you came up with the idea.
But I did come up with that, yes.
Oh, awesome.
And hopefully somewhere in my archives, I'll be able to prove it.
You found it?
I think so. On July 6th, 2021.
Hold on. That's day one of this show with me on it. July the 6th.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a fist bump. You found it.
I think y'all might have been talking about something on the show, I'm sure with a nickname or something, and at the bottom of his text, he said, P.S. Nuño's Niños.
That is I did not. So thank you, Mr. McElroy. Thank you so much. I'm honored to talk to you. I love your story. I think you're a legend as a person, your story, what you meant on the field, what you mean off the field. What was this process like to make this movie?
Well, it was a lot longer than I thought it would have been. You know, and I have to refer back to something Jamie McCoy said on the earlier segment. Life has a way of presenting things to you that you don't expect, and a lot of times you don't deserve. But if they're yours to have, life will find a way to get them to you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this happened, because the opening scene, at least on the trailer, I start off by saying, I was never intended to be a star athlete. It was all an accident. Well, except there are no coincidences, of course.
I want to get into that a little. And of course, there's going to be some stuff I want to hold back because I want people to go watch this movie and feel it. But Gabe Bach, who used to host this show, he was a champion for this. In fact, he'll be helping out on the 23rd at the premiere. Just talk a little bit about how that idea came. Like, you know, Gabe brought the idea to you, am I right?
I'll never forget, Gabe and I were sitting in his truck. I want to say it was at spring training, however many years ago now. And he said, hey, what would you think if we did this? And I had no idea what he was talking about. If we did something about your life or something like that. And I thought, well, you know, after I read it, I'll ball it up and throw it away. And no, I'm not talking about an article. And so we got to talking, and it was, sure, why not? I mean, there was no reason. I don't know why you're asking, but I certainly had no reason to say, I don't want to do that. And so we just sort of proceeded.
When you think about that time and how much this university, this country has grown from that, just kind of take me through, because this was a different time, you know, a different time in this place, different time in sports, different time in the country.
A lot has changed. And I don't think it's a spoiler alert, but I will say in the documentary, football is the backdrop. But when I saw it for the first time, I realized that it wasn't all about football. I mean, we had done bits and pieces, and you film something here, you interview someone there, but that's not the order that it's put together in the end. And when it was all put together, all things were said and done, football had a place, but it wasn't the premier place.
So you lived it, and I'm sure you've talked about it with your family over the years, but like, was it therapeutic maybe going through this and like talking about old times and reliving and seeing pictures and like kind of being in that, I don't want to call it an echo chamber, but just in that environment?
Well, let me tell you what it did. It actually, there was some long-held beliefs, some oral history that had gone down in the family. And case in point, Grandpa, who was a central figure for the documentary, was a Buffalo soldier. Okay, and we just took that at face value, except when we went to the National Buffalo Soldier Museum in Houston, they didn't have a record of it. And so we pulled out our archives, they did their research,
Donnie and Clay had done research putting this together, and we presented it to the museum, and within a week, he was like head on the website.
Oh, wow.
You know, on the website. And so just things like that, because he had all of the history. Grandpa was in the Spanish-American War, World War I. He was in the Rough Riders. 10th Cavalry helped capture Pancho Villa, won the French Medal for Bravery. All this
We could do a movie on him.
all this stuff, and of course we just took it at face value, but then we were kind of taken back when we couldn't really see that he was a Buffalo Soldier. But when they saw all of the overwhelming evidence, then that changed as well.
So, to be the first black player to start a game in Aggie football history, like that sentence, in today's world, again, it seems so foreign, but was it scary at that time? Was it, were you just living?
I will tell you what. Of course, nobody sets out to do, or I certainly didn't set out to do that. I knew after I started, I knew that I was the first to start. And I always have to give credit to Sammy Williams and JT Reynolds. They were on the team before I was, and I was just texting, I guess it was Sammy the other day, and I told him that I felt like I stood on the shoulders of giants, because even though they didn't get to start, they got very limited playing time, special teams mostly. What they were able to deal with in the locker room, whatever that is, I'm not casting dispersions anyway, but whatever it was they dealt with together, I can't look you in the eye and say I could have done that by myself or without them being a forerunner. So I always have to give them credit. But it was just different. The best compliment I've gotten about that is someone asked me about it, and I said, well, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And they say, yeah, but that's only because you were the right person. And wow. I'd never heard that, and I've used it for other people, but that made me feel kind of good.
What about the relationships? You mentioned a couple right there a moment ago. When you go through things together and that bond that is built that lasts for a lifetime.
That's what this university is all about. Mm-hmm. That's where the camaraderie in the core starts. We all had hard times, but we had them together, and we pulled each other through. And so that's the way. I was just talking to Curtis the other night, the other day. Curtis Mills, who's my roommate, who had a lot to do with me even being in the athletic department. That's a story in itself.
Yeah.
But it feels good, but at the same time, that's not something you can plan for. It's just not. You just have to be prepared and a little bit flexible, adaptable.
Well, and I knew this, but I had forgotten for a moment. You also ran track. You were busy.
OB and I were talking about this out front. Yes and no. Okay. Now, there was a time years ago, before 100 meters, we ran 100 yards. Okay. I graduated high school in '67, and I ran a 9.6 100-yard dash, which was admirable. Mm-hmm. Except at my high school, the coach told me that, son, I can find a 9.6 in any PE class here. I couldn't even make a relay team. They had me trying to pole vault.
Really?
And that was back when poles didn't bend, literally. But that didn't work either. But that's where the track thing comes in. So I had been accepted to come to A&M just as a student. Mm-hmm. And two of my high school classmates had accepted track scholarships. And so the summer before we enrolled that fall of '67, they said, hey, Mac, you want to ride up to the school with us just to look around? Sure, I'll ride up. And they were coming up to meet some other track recruits and stuff like that, and I'm hanging out with them. And Curtis was a part of that. And for those who don't know, Curtis was the crown jewel in the recruiting class. Everybody in the country wanted him. Case in point, as sophomores, he broke the world record in a quarter mile.
Right.
Okay. But anyway, everybody wanted him, and so just before school started that fall, Coach Charlie Thomas called Curtis and said, hey, who do you want to be your roommate? And he said, well, Sidney or Edgar, it doesn't matter, my high school classmates. And Coach said, well, they've been friends in school together all their lives, so they're probably going to be roommates. Who's your second choice? And he said, Mac. And he said, Mac who? And he said, Hugh McElroy. And he said, who is that? We're not recruiting anybody named Hugh McElroy. And Curtis said, well, that's who I'd like to be my roommate. Curtis, he's not going to stay in the track dorm if he's not on the track team. That's just not going to happen. And so Curtis said, well, I really do want to go to A&M, but I really want Mac to be my roommate too.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry, Curtis, if he's not on the track team, he can't be in the track dorm. And so Curtis said, well, I heard he played baseball and had a pretty good arm as an outfielder. I bet you could teach him to throw the javelin, then he could be on the track team, and then he could stay in the track dorm and be my roommate.
Wow.
And so Coach Thomas said, well, I don't have a scholarship for him. He said, well, just offer it to him. So I get this phone call, hey, I don't have a scholarship, but if you want to stay with Curtis and try to throw the javelin, I'm in. So sure, let's give it a try.
That's how it happened.
That's how it happened. And then, being a field event, I was running wind sprints with the shot putters, the discus throwers, and of course I was out running all of them. And then as it became obvious that I needed to be doing something else, so I became a sprinter. But the first meet of the season, I pulled a hamstring.
Oh, no.
The mother of hamstrings.
Right.
And so that kind of took care of that. But then in the spring, I was out in front of the dorm, out in front of Fowler Hall, dorm 15, I think it was. But we were playing football, just a bunch of guys, and somebody said, hey, you're pretty good. You ought to go out for the team. I said, okay, I'll go out. So I went out, but I hurt my leg again.
Oh, no.
I was actually, it was suggested that I not come back out for 2 days.
Okay.
Because, I was wasting my time. So I didn't go back out. And then the next year, I was playing football in front of dorm 15 with some guys, and somebody said, hey, why don't you go out for the team? And I went out again, and this time it stuck. So my first season would have been 69. And then after that year, I got a scholarship, and then,
So the unlikeliest of stories that almost didn't happen, but
almost
happened.
Yeah. But life will present you with things in weird ways.
Let's go down that track a little bit more on the, you stay for one more segment?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's do it. We'll have another one here. Right now we're talking about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for. They'll do the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can write any form of insurance. They've got 60 offices in the great state of Texas. But the bottom line is they're super local. Yeah, they're all over Texas, and we'll get into some of the offices later, but they're right here in College Station on Highway 6. You'll see Jackson, Jason, Morgan, Keith all around town. They take care of this community. They go to all the big events. They want to be your insurance provider. They have offices also in Houston, Dallas, Tyler, Austin, San Antonio, everything west of I-35, and of course outside of Texas as well. Homeowners, car insurance, farmers, ranchers, hobby farmers, you name it, they'll take care of it. 888-44-ROLLO, go to rolloinsurance.com. That's 888-44-ROLLO, rolloinsurance.com. All right, it's time to end the day with Double Days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza. And, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. As a reminder, Breaking Tradition premieres here very soon, October the 23rd, 7 o'clock, Rudder Theater on Texas A&M's campus. You can buy tickets at MSE's box office. Students, $5, regular, $10. We hope everybody can come out and watch that awesome premiere. So you left me, like, there's so many different story angles we can go. Like, your movie, there's going to have to be a part 2 and a part 3. So, sorry about that. It's going to be the next 50 years of your life, Hugh.
That's okay. I'm glad to have it.
So, why A&M? Because, like I was telling the folks in the studio before, like, in my mind, you were this recruited athlete to come to A&M, and that's not the story. The story is you came to be a student, right? And then some opportunities were afforded to you. Like, you were in the right place at the right time, and your talent shined. But the student part of you, why did you pick A&M?
Well, it had to do with Grandpa. Grandpa was a military guy, and all of his sons, including my dad, were in the military. And so for me, it would have been like going into the family business. Of course, the Corps was here, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to get in the Corps, and I'm going to do great things in the military. Grandpa called A&M West Point on the Brazos. That was his deal. And when he found out I had been accepted, I mean, it was like the skies opened up and God says it's going to happen. You know, so that's why I came here.
Yeah, wow. And then, you know, in the last minute we have the story that almost didn't happen. Like, if it wasn't for you having relationships and people pulling you into the track program and then playing football in front of a dorm, this movie doesn't get done. Your story doesn't happen. Isn't that amazing how God puts you in the right place?
And in my mind, there are no coincidences. I can't imagine how life would have been had this not happened, because it has opened so many doors.
Yeah. What an amazing story, Hugh. I want you to stick around for the rewind, all right? So we'll do a little bit more on the rewind. As a reminder, Breaking Tradition premieres Wednesday, October 23rd at 7 o'clock, a little bit more than a week away, a couple weeks away. Rudder Theater, A&M campus, MSC box office, students $5, regular $10 tickets. In the last 15 seconds I have, how about that Aggie football team?
Oh, man, that was awesome.
Wasn't it?
That was awesome.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah, we do.
We need a lot more of that.
Those are program-defining moments.
You got it. Yeah. That is Hugh McElroy. That's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Tuesday. We will see you all mañana.